For the next 2 days, race fans old and new will have their eyes riveted to the stars of NASCAR at the home of NASCAR, Daytona. The time and tension of the off-season have expired. Now there's a new feeling in the air, a feeling of excitement. The top 2 series in NASCAR at one track, sharing one weekend, all in high-speed pursuit of one simple goal. Dawn of a new day and a new dream. Dawn at Daytona and a new season. The first light reveals new cars, new colors, and new competitors. A week of racing fueled by inspiration and perspiration. They have brought pressure. They have delivered fan-pleasing performances.
Greg Biffle has won the Bud Pole for the Daytona 500.
Now it really counts. The stars of the NASCAR Busch Series take the first green flag of 2004 with the promise of bumper-to-bumper excitement, because this is special. Today, some of racing's biggest names take to the track with one simple goal in mind: to do what Dale Earnhardt Jr. has done the past 2 years, to win at Daytona.
Green flag.
NBC Sports welcomes you live to the 2004 season opener for the NASCAR Busch Series, the Hershey's Kisses 300. Hello everyone, the NBC Race family welcomes you to Daytona. I'm Bill Weber. Happy Valentine's Day. Believe it or not, we begin the season in the hurry-up. Rain and lots of it is forecast for late this afternoon and into early tomorrow morning. The start of this race has been pushed up to 12:33 Eastern Time. That's about a half an hour from right now. The Busch Series season is 34 races long. Today, no one cares. In a sport where second is the first loser, all those people out there on pit road and all those famous and unforgettable guys back at the shop are all thinking about the same thing: winning at Daytona. This field is a bunch of past champions and future champions. We start with that story, and it's a pleasure to send it out to my pit road colleague, Matt Yocum.
Bill, over the past 24 hours, 23-year-old Martin Truex Jr. has seen a full range of emotions. He won his first career pole, then less than an hour later, while learning some drafting lessons from Michael Waltrip, he was caught up in a crash. Kevin Bono Mannion, his crew chief and team, worked until 3:30 a.m. this morning to repair that car for today. And Dale Jr., your driver, rookie, still, he did get a lot of experience a few months ago at Talladega, 600 miles in drafting. Are you still concerned, though?
No, not really. Martin will adapt pretty good. You know, these cars, they got this wind package on them, this aero package on them that it's going to give everybody a little experience today. So hopefully Martin's ready for it. Hopefully we're ready for it, and hopefully we're not on our roof before the end. So should be a pretty exciting race for all of us, drivers, fans alike.
Now let's talk to Dale Jr., the driver in this race. You're on a drive for 5. You've won 4 straight Busch Series restrictor plate races. I know you want to chase your dad's record here too.
Yeah, he won 5 in a row back several years ago, and I'd like to try to beat that, but I don't know if I got the best car today, and we'll just have to see if luck comes into play for us. Richard Childress has built some awesome Busch cars, awesome Busch motors, brought them down here, and they're really stout. So they're the guys that I'm looking to try to beat today among the rest of the field.
He has a drafting partner. The chance to entries start first and 8th. Dave?
Well, we're with Michael Waltrip, Matt, and he's usually the teammate for Dale Jr., but not in this race. Michael, we're so used to, though, seeing you guys work together on this track after some conflict and heated comments on Thursday. Are we going to see that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've talked a bunch, and we understand the goals, and the goal is to win the Daytona 500, and today it's to win the Hershey's Kisses 300 on Valentine's Day for my lovely wife, Buffy, and beautiful daughters, Caitlin and Macy. And to do that, to be successful with these aero packages, I think you're going to have some teamwork and some teammates, and I'm ready. I feel like our Aaron's Dream Machine is going to be right.
Well, he crashed in practice yesterday, guys. He will start at the back with the backup car, but I imagine that, too, will be fast. Marty Snyder?
Well, Dave, when you talk about potential winners, don't forget to include Kevin Harvick. In this race last year, led 53 laps, wound up finishing third to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip. But new rules this year, but is it still the same game? Do you have to beat Mikey and Jr. to win this thing today, Kevin?
We had him beat last year. We just left the catch can in the back of the car, but I don't think that's the case this year. I think you got to beat the whole field because of the fact that the way the rules are, you can pull up, you can pass, you can beat, you can bang. You can do whatever you want with the car if you can hold the gas pedal down. So the closing rate is, I think, 12 or 13 miles an hour in some situations faster than the car in front of you. So it'll be a good show as long as we don't wreck them all.
Because of that passing and how easy it is, Bill, Kevin says the place you want to be with 3 laps to go is in third, not the lead.
Thanks, Marty. Those guys start the season riding around in convertibles. Hope they took the fuel purchase option. There are 10 drivers in today's race that will compete in the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Those 10 drivers accounted for 10 of the 36 Nextel Cup Series wins a year ago. A lot of talent on the track, closer to the green flag when we come back.
I give you this ring.
I give you this ring.
Gene, would you give your bride a huge Hershey kiss?
So kiss me.
And now the happy couple, Terry Lewis and Gene Conzen. Since they're in victory lane, they just had a champagne shower. They won the gown, they won, well, the tuxedo, I guess they didn't win, but the whole trip, airfare, everything. But I want to know who was more excited, Terry, you or Gene, when you found out you'd won?
I think he was more excited than me.
Why is that? He a bigger race fan?
No, not necessarily. He's just been a race fan longer.
You know, Gene, there's going to be a lot of people at this reception, like millions now.
Oh, exactly. I love it. I can't wait to meet them all.
All right, well, there they are right there, Gene. Wave to them, guys, because they got married right here in Victory Lane. And, Bill, do you believe that this is a great way to start your speed weeks? I do.
Yes, very good, Dave. And I do agree with you as well. Our NBC colleague Wally Dallenbach starts 25th today in the Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash Pontiac. Wally hopes to win the race, but earlier this week, he had to pay off and clean up after he lost a bet.
Now, I know the other night Earnhardt Jr. said you were the king of cool, but this isn't your car.
Well, I was going to bring a bus, but I decided since Junior gave me the nickname King of Cool, what's more cool than a Corvette? So, and it's small.
And it's dirty.
And you lost the bet, you got to wash the thing.
You're right. A bet's a bet.
You go wash it. But there's a kicker. It's not clean until he says it's clean.
Car wash. Working at the car wash, yeah. Come on and sing it with me, car wash.
First, you got to rinse her down. You have this on the beach?
Just made one little trip down the beach, just so I get it nice and dirty for you. Don't forget this soap back here now, come on. Okay.
Okay, boys, I'm finished.
All right, Mr. Clean, let's check him out. What do you think? For Wally, that looks good to me.
So get your stamp of approval?
Kept it clean with Mr. Clean.
BP, bet paid.
Congratulations.
Nice job cleaning up BP's car there, Wally, but can you clean up the field today and win this thing?
I think we've got a pretty good race car. It's just yesterday in practice, it was complete madness out there. And there's some guys talking about dropping back and getting out of it and waiting for the big wreck to happen. So
You're one of them.
I have talked to a few people about that. So I don't know what we're going to do. You know, the racer in you says, no, go to the front and get to the front, and hopefully the wreck will happen behind you. I think what we'll just do is see what happens for the next couple laps unless the crew guys decide to do something different. But the biggest thing is trying to keep this race clean and get to the finish and then have a good race car at the end. And I was pretty happy with the car in happy hour. Although we didn't have power steering, it was a handful, but we do have power steering today, and we'll see what we can do.
You know, if racing and television doesn't work out, you always have a future at the car wash. Don't forget that, Bill.
Right. BP will tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you that, Wally. We'll be sure and remind you. 43 drivers getting ready to race in the first event of the 2004 NASCAR Busch Series season. Whose dream will come true? 300 miles of madness will decide it.
NBC's coverage of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is brought to you by Little Hershey's Kisses, big chocolate taste. By TGI Fridays. Visit TGI Fridays today and try their new Atkins-approved menu items, including sizzling New York strip with blue cheese. and by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Getting closer to the pre-race ceremonies, but first let's sneak out to the grid and back to Matt.
Martin Truex Jr.'s car looks almost back to new. An incredible 24 hours for you, Martin. Now we're down to the drop of the green flag. Who are you going to try to work with?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, I'm leading. Hopefully somebody will stay with me and help me out. But I got to thank everybody at DEI, everybody from the Bud crew, the Napa crew, everybody that pitched together last night and, you know, showed a true team effort, put this car back together.
He was concerned about being a rookie. A lot of the rookies here, like in the 5 and 32, are all going to try to work together if they get hung out, Bill.
Thanks, Matt. Today's race is 300 miles. That's 120 laps for the 43 Busch Series cars. Waiting at the finish line, the honor of being called a winner at Daytona. Right now, let's take you trackside and join the pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the United States Navy Color Guard out of Fort Cherry, North Carolina present today's colors. And now, please welcome Reverend Hal Marshman as he delivers today's invocation.
Almighty God, we thank you for this wonderful place. You've created the heavens and the earth and all therein, and we give thanks today. We thank you for this great group and for all who make this day possible, and we invoke your blessings. Shalom and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we have 5-time Grammy Award winner Michael McDonald to perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched as so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Michael, and let's hear it for those 4 U.S. Navy BF-31 Tomcatter F-14s out of NAS Oceana, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back our Grand Marshal, Ashley Smith, for those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Every driver now poised with the same thought: can I win at Daytona? They want to enjoy a moment like this. Last Saturday night, Dale Jarrett taking the checkered flag to win an action-packed Budweiser shootout. The last 2 times Dale has won the shootout in '96 and 2000. He won the Daytona 500. All total, Dale has 3 Daytona 500 victories, including one driving for Joe Gibbs in 1993. Calling the race that day in '93, Dale's dad, Ned, standing just about where Dale is standing right now as he gets ready to join Alan Bestwick and Benny Parsons for the call of today's Hershey's Kisses 300. Gentlemen.
Bill, thanks a lot. Dale, welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope you're looking forward to doing this with us.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think you are too. Let's talk about this rules package the drivers are racing under here. It's very similar to the one that the Nextel Cup cars raced a few years ago with the blade on the roof and the big lip on the rear spoiler. You got a lot of experience under that. What are we looking at?
Well, these guys right now are thinking about two things. They're excited about having their first race of the year here at Daytona. The second thing is they know that we're at Daytona, we have restrictor plates, and they have a new rules package in the aero department. And what they're looking at is the closing rate on these cars is a lot faster than what they've been accustomed to. They're going to have to really pay attention and be on top of their game today more than ever before.
Because if they're not, we may see a scene like we had here last night in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race where mayhem and chaos reigned supreme in this particular incident off turn 4. By the time it was done, there were over a dozen smoking, steaming machines.
And we have 9 guys starting today's Hershey's Kisses 300 that have never run on Daytona International Speedway. And we've also got out of the other 34, 3 or 4 that are just going to go nuts when this race starts because they're racing to Daytona. They feel like the closure rate, they've got a chance to pass, a chance to win. Matt Kenseth told me this morning, if we don't see a big crash today, he will be the most shocked guy on the face of the earth.
So bottom line is, this is going to be wild. And it starts next. The green flag starting lineup all coming up just moments from now. NASCAR on NBC returns to Daytona. The Hershey's Kisses 300, the season opener for the NASCAR Busch Series, about to begin at Daytona International Speedway. 43 drivers fighting the butterflies, feeling the history of this great place as they get ready to take the green flag. Let's show you the 43 drivers in the starting field. Martin Truex Jr., one of the 9 drivers in his first ever Daytona race, starting on pole position. And while you look at the rest of the starting grid, let's take a chat with one of the drivers in the field who's got a lot of laps here.
And Matt Kenseth is starting 29th. Hey, Matt, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Gotcha, Benny.
So when they throw the green flag, are you going to try to go forward and win the race or go backwards and miss the wreck?
I have a little radio difficulty here, but I think I'm going to try to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just hang out in the back for a little bit and see what happens. With these rules, the Busch Series guys don't have a lot of experience with them, and might just want to hang out in the back for a few laps and see how it's going to shake out and see if it's going to be a wreck or not. So I don't know. Whenever you try and do that, it backfires. So I'm just going to kind of play it by ear and see what happens.
Well, good luck to you, bud.
Benny, we'll need it.
Matt Kenseth set to start in 29th position today. Big field of cars came here to Daytona trying to qualify for this race. 11 failed to get into the field. You see the long list there, including Mark Martin. Not able to get into the show. And a couple drivers dropping in the back. Michael Waltrip in a backup car. Josh Richardson with an engine change. We're going to take one more commercial break before the start so we can show you as much green flag racing as possible. The start when we return to Daytona on NBC.
Inboard, Jim.
Hey, Wally, is that you?
Hey, welcome back to Daytona, BP. I got a pretty good seat here.
Where is that camera?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. It was pretty hairy yesterday in happy hour, so just going to try to be careful, see what develops, take it from there.
Well, he didn't hear me, but let me tell you that the camera that you're seeing is in his helmet. We're seeing exactly what he's seeing.
Not on the outside of the helmet, that's inside the helmet. You see down here at the bottom of the picture right here, that's actually the front of Wally's full face helmet. So the camera's mounted up right next to his eyeballs, and you're seeing what he sees as he rides throughout the afternoon here at Daytona. Michael Waltrip is going to carry one of those cameras for us tomorrow during the Daytona 500. Final lap of pacing here before we get the green flag. Let's get some stories from pit road. Marty, you lead off.
I'm having so much fun, I should be paying them instead of them paying me. That's what Ron Hornaday told me right before he got into his race car. He said it's the best car he's ever had at a restrictor plate track, which is pretty good considering he's finished 4th at these last 2 races at Talladega and Daytona. And last time I checked, Alan, or Matt, it pays pretty good if you win the race, doesn't it?
Marty David Stremming to 32. He's already made the most out of his qualifying here at Daytona. He starts on the outside of row 2. Now it's down to business and learning a lot of drafting lessons. Yes, he was part of that drafting test session at Talladega with Truex Jr., but he knows today he's got to keep his nose clean, keep the fenders on it, and just learn. Make one move at a time, and it's a lot easier said than done. Dave?
Matt, Greg Biffle is the fastest qualifier for the Daytona 500, but that race is tomorrow. He only timed in 33rd best for today's race. Crew Chief Todd Parrott told me he was disappointed looking at all the cars that'll start in front of them. But he also said yesterday's final practice told him the 60 car can lead, and they think Greg Biffle can win. Alan?
Thanks, Dave. Greg Biffle going to come from 33rd starting spot in this race. Weather does threaten today. You see the forecast at the bottom. The radar, well, it's not the prettiest looking thing we've seen. So we'll keep the halfway lap in mind as we get closer to it. Now, Dale, you're used to being down there strapped into one of these race cars when it's time to start. You're about to see a whole new side of this Daytona racing.
I am, and I'm excited to see it from this side. I know what these guys are feeling right now, which is, again, excitement. They're getting ready to come to the green flag. This should be really exciting. I think this has the makings of being one of the best Busch races we've ever seen here.
The 81 car on the pole, Truex Jr. Till 3 o'clock this morning, the crew worked on that car, putting it back together. It hasn't been on the racetrack since they put it back together.
It's the season opener for the NASCAR Busch Series, the Hershey's Kisses 300, and it's underway.
Green flag.
King of Stars, Ron Hornaday in the 2 car did not get a very good start. Maybe he's laying back to try to get a run on the 81.
Well, you know, it's always difficult being that guy on the outside of the pole because you can't beat the guy on the pole to the line, so you're never really up to speed quite as good, but he'll get a good push here going down the backstretch.
It's Martin Truex Jr. driving the Chance 2 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Teresa Earnhardt, the 81. His first Daytona race. He's on pole. Then he told you about repairs to the car. He leads as they come around to complete lap 1. Kevin Harvick pushing up to the inside of his Richard Childress teammate Ron Hornaday. Harvick in the silver and orange car to the inside. And Hornaday in the blue number 2 on the outside. Little 3 wide farther back.
Jason left for the 00 going to the high side. The red and white car trying to go by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Puts Jr. in the middle. Not a spot you want to be, is it, Dale?
Not at all. In particular, not at this point in the race. But there's a lot of times that middle will open up, and you see Dale Jr. taking advantage of that right now, and Jason Leffler headed backwards.
So he has no one to go with. All the cars moved down to go with Jr. and left the 00 out to dry.
And speaking of left out to dry, new leader, Kevin Harvick just swept around Martin Truex Jr. Harvick is out in front.
Oh, man.
Here comes Hornaday on his teammate. Well, maybe he'll go back in line and work with him instead of around him.
Here comes Jr. in the 8 car, trying to go on the outside with David Strim in the 32. Marty, what do you have for us?
Kevin Mannion came on the radio when Martin Truex sat in the race car and said, listen, you've got to remember one thing, trying to calm his young driver down. This car should be just as good as it was yesterday. Trust in it, believe in it, and remember how good it was before it got wrecked.
It's Dale Jr.'s car. We're on board now.
I had a similar situation in the year 2000 here in the very last practice session. We got a little bit close. Matter of fact, it was right at the end of it, and my car got turned sideways down in 1 and 2 and messed up the front air dam. Our guys worked all night, only got a couple of hours sleep, and we were on the pole, and we came back and pretty much dominated that race. So Martin, I know, is just filling the car out right now, and I'm sure that he'll have an excellent day.
See that blue car on the outside lane? Looks a lot like Jimmy Johnson's car in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. That is a Hendrick Motorsports car. It's Kyle Busch, Kurt's younger brother, in the 5. This is his Daytona NASCAR Busch Series debut.
He's 18 years old, Dale.
That's incredible. The young man has a lot of talent. Won the ARCA race here just a week ago, and I was very impressed in watching him that day. He's got a little more competition here today, but he's doing a great job.
He's not afraid of anything.
Not afraid, not at all. He's got a lot of talent to go with that, too.
Matt, how about the 5 car?
Lance McGrew could not compliment the driver of the 5, Kyle Busch, enough for how he has acclimated himself to the draft. In fact, after practice yesterday, Kevin Harvick jumped out of his car and ran over to the 5. His team members were a little worried, and then they found out why. Kevin wanted to compliment him on his moves. He said, you made a move, then you made a pass. You made a move, then you made a pass. You didn't do a lot of herky-jerky stuff. You looked almost like a veteran out there.
And Kyle Busch said, does that mean that you'll help me tomorrow if I need it? He said, I will, because you look that impressive.
Hey, look who's up to 11th. Wally.
All right.
I guess he decided against the float to the back plan.
Yes, he did.
I know a lot of times when we feel like that these races are going to be a little suspect, you know, we take it easy, don't make some moves, but you can go forward because everybody's a little apprehensive to start with. We'll probably see a little more dicing as we go on, but right now we're just seeing really the outside line going pretty good, and that looks like where Wally is.
People doing a good job just trying to let the race settle in before they get too anxious.
That's Johnny Sauter, the car directly in front of Wally. Look at that head move around it.
You don't realize it. This gives you a great idea and great shot of how rough this racetrack is as you go through the corners and how much you have to work the steering wheel. You're not wanting to do that, but the setups that you have and the bumps that you have here dictate that.
Oh.
Starting to sort it out single file up at the head of the field.
Good start, Wally. Work it, draft.
Kevin Harvick leading the line, Wally back in the 11th spot. And our pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr., has fallen back now to 12th. Marty?
And it's not because of the car, the aerodynamics of the car. It's because the car's not handling very well. Very loose on the bottom right now for the 81 car. Dave?
Well, Kenny Wallace has been complaining to his guys on the radio that there's a miss in the motor. He said it cuts out at 7,200 RPM just as I'm getting to the end of the straightaways. They flipped the ignition box, which is an electrical system that helps, that obviously runs the thing. He said it got better for a second and then radioed back in. No, it's still missing.
You had a similar problem in the 125 on Thursday, didn't you, Dale?
Yeah, we sure did. Thankfully, we've got it fixed now, but we had a problem where the engine, mine wanted to cut off coming off the corner, and so it's not a fun deal. We change boxes. Very seldom does that work. Sometimes it is the box, but hopefully Kenny can get that problem fixed here today.
Robbie Gordon in 55 puts Wally in the middle. Wally moves up, has an outside lane to go to.
I was just about to comment that I know a lot of these guys were breathing easier because they were gotten strung out a little bit and were kind of single file, and here they are 3 wide again.
Right, Bliss in 20. Going by the 27 of Johnny Sauter, and Kyle Busch still moved up in the high lane, but he's been up there most of the race.
On board Mike Bliss.
Neat camera shot from Bliss's car. And we see both cars on the outside of him. He's on the bottom, 3 wide.
That's where it gets tight. Right as they come into the little dog leg there, that sweep around by the start-finish line.
And all this is going on about 185 miles per hour. Dave, what is Bliss saying?
Well, I know what they're saying last night. They're saying they had to fix that left rear quarter of the car. That was a car that got damaged in an incident during practice on Friday afternoon. So they worked last night. They got some help from their Winston Cup team of Tony Stewart to refabricate that left rear. The best news was the left rear quarter in an aerodynamic race like this is the least important. They got it the best they could.
Now Strimmy in that 32 car has moved to the outside, and now he's finally got a car behind him. Is that Wally behind him?
How about David Stremme, Marty?
He wants to work that high line. Alan says his car feels a little bit more comfortable up there. The one thing he definitely wants to do is stay up front. Their strategy, if you're in the front, you will avoid the wreck, not necessarily the back.
That's true. I agree with that theory. Kevin Harvick continuing to lead. We have completed now 10 laps of the 120 that will make up the scheduled distance here this afternoon in the Hershey's Kisses 300. Harvick, Hornaday, Robbie Gordon, Earnhardt Jr. and Johnny Sauter are the top 5 from Daytona. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Back at Daytona, the big crash has just happened off turn 2. At least 8 or 9 cars involved. Heavy contact. You see the 33 of Paul Menard, one of the cars involved, and the car with the heavy front end that's smoking straight in front of us is Wally.
We see the 38 car of Casey Kane back there. Wally is putting the window net down, taking his gloves off.
He was 12th last time by the start-finish line, so it happened right up toward the front of the field. It's Casey Kane in the 38 behind Wally. Mike Bliss is also involved in the 20.
Casey's getting out of his car. Looks to be
He's okay.
Okay, none the worse for the wear.
Caution out at the 12th lap here at Daytona. You see the cars down on the inside of the racetrack.
Mike Bliss was also involved in the 20 car.
Right. Just mentioned that a second ago, BP. He's driving on the apron inside of turn 3, trying to limp back around. There's Joe Nemechek in the 87 coming back around. Now pay attention to Mike Bliss's car here, the red 20 machine.
That one. Well, he gets a great run on the bottom of the racetrack, but it gets loose off the corner and goes up and catches, is that Strimmy and Wally?
Yeah. Johnny Benson in the 1, Nemechek in the 87.
One more look.
Looked like he just had a big run to the inside of Mike Wallace and then decided that hole was closing up.
Yeah, a lot of times you get that feel that you've got a push there and you've really got to run and you want to take advantage of it. And then the next thing, your car starts to push a little bit off that corner and you jerk the wheel and then the back end goes out from under you and then you're in a bad position, as we can see right here.
And Leffler almost got him in the 0-0, but Bliss goes back across the racetrack, runs right in the side of Wally. Now he has no steering. And watch him just go straight down and hit the inside of the wall. He's trying to get it to go the right, but he can't steer the car. He sees the wall coming, and about this time is when you close your eyes because you're not going to like that.
Ouch. Yeah, it almost looked like the throttle might have been hung on that. You could see the front tires weren't turning there, but he had the brakes on. But wow, that's a hard lick. This happened. There were about 25 cars in this pack, so it happened kind of right in the middle of them.
Dave, what about the 20 car?
Mike radioed in right after that he was, you saw where he was in the middle of the track. He said, I got in the middle. He said the back end just came around. I don't know what happened, if the air got taken off of it or whatever, but he realizes the back end of the car just came right out from under him.
So caution out for this crash on the backstretch. At least 6-7 cars involved.
Was that Jason Keller in the 22 car? Or was that the 87 of Nemechek went down toward the inside? Couldn't tell.
87, yeah. On board the 38 of Casey Kane.
He gets inside of Nemechek and goes for a ride.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Casey and Joe.
And from on board Wally's car.
Open, one car down low, middle's open. Stay there. Well, they just wiped us out, guys. Wally, you okay?
The engine wasn't, the throttle wasn't hung, just couldn't stop it.
Yeah, it just can't get stopped.
Because he'd knocked the brakes off when he made contact with that car.
You know, you like to run that high line a lot of times to keep the car wound up and it can go.
Sorry, guys, no
the
place
thing I always hate about being in the high line, if something does happen, you have nowhere to go. You're there. And just like we saw with Casey Kane and Joe Nemechek, they were both probably okay just trying to avoid. Joe just moved down to try to avoid the accident. And Casey happened to be there trying to go to the bottom too and took both of those out.
It's on board Mike Bliss's car. Oof. Johnny Benson.
Got the back here, the front too hard.
Now you know how those bowling pins feel at the bowling alley when they start banging off each other.
Heavily damaged. So, involved in the crash, 8 drivers. You see the list there. A few of them drove back around to pit road. Johnny Benson, Joe Nemechek, C.W. Smith all drove back around to pit road, but some pretty heavy damage to all of those cars. So the crash has happened. As feared, Mike Bliss getting loose in traffic. By the time it's done, 8 cars in a smoking heap on Daytona's back straightaway. Back at Daytona, they've just opened the pit road, and here come all of the lead cars for service. Dave Burns, lead us
Alan, Jason Leffler was running in 8th position. His car was loose. They stick a wrench in the rear window there to make a track bar adjustment. They will also change all 4 tires for Jason. Marty?
Kevin Harvick said, good thing this car, we got this caution to fix this car. The car way too loose. They go underneath the rear of the car, unhook the rear sway bar, a major adjustment, and a pound down the right rear tire, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. hit pit road as a leader. A gas and go. They're going to save tires for later in the race. Even though he ran through some debris, they feel like those tires should be okay. He says the car is very good. His big concern, where was Martin Truex in that crash? Because he knew that he was back there. They told him he is fine.
Johnny Sauter ran through his pit box on the pit lane.
Yeah, I happened to be watching that, and Johnny came in running third and just got in a little bit hot. That first pit stop's always hard to judge, and slid right through. Actually hit his tire carrier, but it looks like they were able to complete the stop.
Dave, go ahead.
Alan, as we ride on board with Greg Biffle, his car also very, very loose, and they made a track bar and a wedge adjustment to try to fix that for Greg. Remember, guys, we've been hearing all week about tight race cars. That's the second one that I've heard about that's been actually the third one that's been loose.
All right, so Greg Biffle rejoining the race. We'll check his running order here after the shuffle of pit stops. Watch Johnny Sauter's car. Right. Oh, no, that's a different thing. That's Ashton Lewis getting tangled up with Matt Kenseth.
And going around backwards. Here's a 17-year on board with Matt Kenseth as he runs in the back of Ashton Lewis and probably does some damage to his grill, the front of his car.
It's tough to pick out where you're supposed to be and easy to drive by it.
Yeah, it really is, and you're concentrating so much on your board. A lot of times I try every race to make sure that I know who's pitting around me, and my spotter Bob Jeffrey does a good job of letting me know who's going to be peeling off in front or if they're going on down. And unfortunately, there Matt was probably just looking ahead and didn't realize that Ashton was going to his pit that quickly.
So the new leader of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is Michael Waltrip. We'll reset the field for you as the cleanup continues at Daytona. NBC's coverage of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is brought to you by Nextel, coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. By the new 4 for All pizza. Everyone gets the toppings they want, and it's only at Pizza Hut. And by the new Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash. Never dry your car again. Pretty wild sequence here in Daytona. An 8-car accident off turn 2 and then some action on pit road. Marty?
Well, Pat Schaefer is the front tire carrier for the 27 team of Johnny Sauter. You see him being loaded onto the little temporary ambulance there. They're going to take him to the infield care center. They're probably going to have some stitches on that cut you see on his face. He said he's not sure what happened, but he does know one thing for sure. If they'll let him, he said, I'm making the next stop. Dave?
Mike Bliss's crew working hard on this car to try to get it back out there. Mike, second time this weekend involved in something. This one looked like it started with your car. What happened?
Yeah, sometimes you're in a wreck here and it's not your fault, and I'll take the blame for this. I just coming off it too, it broke loose, and it hadn't been loose. It was handling pretty well right then, and I kind of moved up the racetrack right there to try to get up on the high side, and it just unloaded. The rear tire just unloaded real quick, and I couldn't save it. And I hated to take out all the cars and stuff, but I don't know. I hate it for these guys, and I hate it for everyone else I took out.
Mike, it was just starting to sprinkle over in pit lane. Was there any sign of moisture on the track at all?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I didn't see anything. I think it was just a cause of where, I don't know, I just got loose and took everybody out.
All right, Mike, very disappointed, obviously, with what's happened here, guys. He's out. The Hershey's Kisses 300. Alan?
All right, Dave, a lot of work going on back in the garage among a lot of cars. Joe Nemechek's, Johnny Benson's, Bliss's, Wally's, Casey Kane's, and Paul Menard's have all been towed off the racetrack into the garage area. Check out what happened on pit road. We talked about Johnny Sauter running through his pit box, and we just talked with the crew member there a second ago. Watch the spot shadow there. That's Sauter's car.
You see the coming to pit road and just keeps on going. And look at that guy do the header on pit road. The fellow that Marty just showed us. Man.
I can tell you from a driver's standpoint, that's a terrible, terrible feeling. Unfortunately, had that last year at Indianapolis. That you see young men like that talking about he's ready to come back if they'll let him do that. That's the type of people we have in this sport. But your first stop here, you've been out here running 185, 190 miles an hour. You're not using any brake on the racetrack. Sometimes you forget to warm them up coming in, and then other times you just don't realize that you're going faster than what it seems on that pit road, and so you go to lock the brakes up or to slide into into your pits, and it's just hard to judge that.
And there we see the rain hitting the camera. And, you know, I got to give Mike Bliss credit for talking to us, because, you know, when something happens to your car, you feel badly. But when you take other cars out with you, it just doesn't get much worse than that.
No, it really doesn't. And, you know, we've all been in that position. And, you know, all he was doing was just trying. He saw a hole there. He said his car was working well up high. He wanted to go there. And he just made a move. And, you know, unfortunately, those things are going to happen sometimes. You don't want them to. You're just trying, you know, and you can't blame a guy for trying. And then you have to give him credit for getting out and taking the blame there. Didn't put it on anything else. And but he's a really good race driver, and he'll have another chance here at Daytona.
They finished cleaning up the accident scene in the backstretch, but you can see the rain peppering the onboard camera lenses. So right now we're in a holding pattern under this caution here at Daytona, though the reports are already coming in that the weather's lightening up around the backside of the track. Dave?
Alan, Joe Nemechek is working on his car with his crew. First of all, are you okay, and what'd you see?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm pretty mad right now, but I'm still smiling. Just the other drivers and crews out here need to figure out how to work on their cars. I mean, people are out there sliding sideways. They're out of control, and maybe it's a rule package, but I thought the rule package was pretty good. The 20 car just got loose up in front of me, and man, he took out half the field. Just there's nowhere to go. I was right behind Wally. I was trying to push Wally back to the front, and just one of those things. It's not good. I mean, people got to learn.
Joe, so Joe, who do you share your anger with? The other teams? Do you go to NASCAR? Where does this go from here?
I don't know. I'll raise some cane everywhere I can. I already went and saw Mike Bliss and said, fix your car, you know, and he's like, well, it was driving good before it spun out. But, yeah, and we went through some of this stuff with this package before on the Winston Cup cars. But the Busch drivers, that's why it's a Busch series. It's not the Winston Cup series. And we were fortunate. I mean, we had some big wrecks over in Winston Cup, too, but it was mainly at the end of the races. But just at the beginning of a race, people got to use their heads. It's uncalled for.
All right, guys, the voice of experience, Alan.
He's just angry.
Frustrated.
And we gave him a way to vent, so we've helped Joe Nemechek out immensely, you know?
We have helped Joe. And obviously, being a former winner here, you know, he was looking forward to having that opportunity again.
Dave said, who do you go to next? Well, he just went to several million people and stated his case. 8-car pileup off of turn number 2, and now rain has us under caution at Daytona International Speedway. It's the Hershey's Kisses 300 with 20 laps of 120 incomplete. Watch this. This is going to hurt tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's the Daytona 500, the Great American Race, and it kicks off with a very special pre-race ceremony, the Nextel Tribute to America. Tune in as Grammy Award winners Lee Greenwood and Leanne Rives join a cast of thousands to celebrate America and the Great American Race. They'll be joined by the President of the United States. Mr. Busch will be in attendance as well. It's the Nextel Tribute to America tomorrow during coverage of the Daytona 500 here on NBC. Not the first time a president's attended the race, July 4th, 1984.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Onboard Air Force One, President Ronald Reagan gives the command to start engines while en route here to Daytona Beach. A fantastic race ensued in which Richard Petty barely edged Cale Yarborough for the win. It was his 200th NASCAR victory. The King sharing later at a victory celebration with the President and Mr. Bill France Jr.
Then I was there.
You sure were?
I was there. Were you there from the President?
I was there. I was actually in there. That was my second race driving a Cup car at that time. I was on my honeymoon with Kelly in Hilton Head and got a call from Jimmy Means to drive his car here. So I was actually just in front of Cale and Richard when they got the checkered flag. I wasn't running very good, obviously, but it was pretty cool to see that and be a part of that day.
Dale Jarrett joining BP and I for the call today. Wally's racing adventure didn't end up so well today, Marty.
It was very short-lived, and on a 2.5-mile racetrack, you found a place where you had no more room, Wally.
No, the car was very, very good, and I had a lot of fun up until that point. But that was probably the hardest hit I've ever taken. And I'll tell you what, there was nowhere to go. The 20 got in front of me, but when I hit that wall, the last thing I was thinking was Hans. And I mean, anybody that's not wearing a Hans device should come and see me, because I hit that wall a ton, and that thing did its job.
Like a pretty good lick. While all this is going on, there's pit strategy out on the racetrack. Michael Waltrip has stayed out, like we've talked about. They're waiting for as long as they can, hopefully with one to go. Then they'll come down pit road, hoping to make it on one more stop. Dave?
Marty, Casey Kane started this race 9th, was in the pack when this happened. What'd you see and what happened?
To me, it looked like the 20 got loose. He's a couple in cars in front of me, so it was.
I don't know if he got help or not, but unfortunate for our Dodge, our Great Clips Dodge car. We, it's a short race. We don't want to go out that soon, but it was no surprise when I saw that because his car looked about the same yesterday. So I don't know, they must not have got a handle on it, but it's too bad. We'll get ready for Rockingham.
All right, his guys are working on his car as well back here in the garage, but looks like they've got a lot of work to do if they're ever going to see Daytona again today, guys.
Another car in some trouble here on the Speedway. Rick Markle's car has stopped just past the start-finish line and can't get it going again. So they've had to bring out a wrecker and hook up to that machine. So the Michigan driver is going to have to go back to the garage and figure out what happened.
We saw the same thing yesterday with Paul Wolf's car, and the brakes locked up, and they had to hook the car up like this to get it back to the garage area.
So under caution, little rain showers stopping. Hopefully the track drying quickly, and we'll get back to full tilt action here at Daytona International Speedway. NBC's coverage of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR, available at Sears. Craftsman makes anything possible. By New Levitra, new choice, here now. Ask your doctor today. And by Little Hershey's Kisses, big chocolate taste. Rain has stopped. They're getting ready to go back racing in about another lap and 3/4. Remind you that you can get more in-car camera action with NASCAR In-Car on In-Demand. In-car camera channels with virtual dashboards, real-time in-car data, and live team audio. If you got digital cable, call 1-888-SPORTS-IN and order the season package.
So you could be riding along, looking at that shot, and listening to the driver communicate with the crew about what's going on. They could listen to you tomorrow, maybe, DJ.
They can, yes. Just like me. That's what I do mostly is listen. I talk a little bit occasionally. They ask my opinion, but do a lot of listening.
More drivers down in the garage, Dave.
Yeah, I think we need to count all the way up to 8 or something at this point. Paul, your 33 was involved. What did you see or didn't you see?
Just a lot of 3-wide racing, side by side, and they're getting kind of aggressive for being so early in the race. And I guess I was on the bottom, Bliss was in the middle, and I guess he lost or something, and just blocked the track, and we just got stuck in the middle of something we didn't do, I guess.
No hole for you to go through?
No, there wasn't. I tried shooting the gap. There was 2 cars blocking the track, and I just tapped. I think it was Bliss. We just hit just a little bit. Then it started sliding, and we nailed Nemechek pretty good.
Okay, both drivers okay, though. That's a good news, Marty.
Dave, it's just amazing how quickly this track bottles up. Anywhere for you to go, Johnny, and what was your view out of the windshield?
And I saw the 20 get sideways up there. I'm not sure exactly what caused that, but it was getting a little loose, and I thought, I saw a little smoke, and I thought, it's going to be big. So, guys just started moving around, really nowhere to go. I mean, most of the guys trying to find holes that are there or not there, and then right when it happened, there's just nowhere to go. I mean, you're going so fast, and like I say, the 20 he spun, and as he was just finishing there, I was down at the bottom. I thought, well, I'll have an okay spot, and then he come down in front, and I just caught his quarter panel. So yellow Transportation Dodge was not doing too bad. I mean, we were just kind of hanging out, got in the wrong line a couple times, and come up through the center there a little bit, and kind of wish I was either further back or further forward, but just nowhere to go.
Former series champ out of it early today.
Getting set to go back racing here. That is the 87 car, not the 8 car.
I can't believe that Nemechek is back on the racetrack. It looked like his car was torn up way too badly to be back on the track, but there he is. Looks like he's up to speed.
Well, they were going to come to the green flag this time. They've just added another lap of caution. I'll give you a minute just to update you on the strategy. Michael Waltrip peeled off from the lead and pitted for fuel when they gave him the 2-to-go signal. So you saw Dale Jr. first behind the pace car. He's now the leader. There are others who have stopped as well. So let's take a break here. We'll reset the running order for you and get back for the restart. From Daytona, you're watching NASCAR on NBC. Back at Daytona International Speedway, the restart has been waved off. Just a couple of more drops of rain over there in turn 2.
We're so close. I mean, we're only about 5 or 6 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, but I guarantee you on the beach, it's not raining now.
Yeah, that's Florida. Hey, log on to NBCSports.com. BP's got a preview of tomorrow's Daytona 500 he's written there for you. And got a lot of great rookie drivers coming into the series this year. I've kind of written a little profile on each driver, let you learn something about them if you're not familiar with them. It's NBCSports.com.
And in that preview, I said that the Yates cars are going to be better this year than last.
Well, we appreciate that, and we certainly plan on being better. And Daytona has got us off to a good start. Elliott's been really fast since he got here. Won his qualifying race on Thursday, did a fantastic job. It was nice to see him in victory lane. That's pretty special, and he's got a good chance of winning this race, the Daytona 500 tomorrow, as well as I think I do. So should be a good year for us. We had a great test at Las Vegas, so we're pretty excited about the season getting started.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the leader as we continue under the caution flag, hoping these few pesky raindrops will leave us shortly. Let's check in his pit. Matty?
The Bud guys from the Nextel Cup Series running the operation for Dale Jr. wearing Oriole colors. Tony Jr., you pitted gas only. What is your scenario now for when do you want to make your next, and will that be your final stop?
Yeah, we can make it on one stop from here. Busch Series got a little bit different rules than Cup where you can only have 3 sets of tires and don't want to burn them up too early. And it's just going to be a situation. We'll pit like lap 74, 73, something like that for one more stop. But the car's good and didn't want to give up too much track position. And, we're just here to have a good time this weekend.
Now, your driver's not a meteorologist, but he is giving you reports about the weather and the condition of the racetrack. What's he saying?
Yeah, he said started spring. It was pretty good. It was ready to go there a while ago, and started sprinkling a little bit, so it got a little wetter down in 3 and 4. But it sounded like like right now the rain stopped again. So hopefully we can get this thing underway and see what we got.
Around lap 72 to 74, Marty.
Well, Matty, about 3 laps before this caution came out, Kevin Harvick was leading. Now you're all the way back in 19th. Rick Vyers, you're the new crew chief for Kevin Harvick. What's going on with the car?
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, we know Kevin can get back to the front. We had to make some big changes. The car was really loose, he said, so we took extra time and unhooked the rear sway bar. So it's not your normal adjustment you make on a pit stop, but it's something he really needed to do.
That's a big adjustment, but the decision to run the rear sway bar in the first place was why?
Well, to help the car free up. Usually we get a little bit tighter here, but with this new package we've got with the wickers and the roof deflector, it's a little bit different. So we're trying to get used to it right now.
That's one of the things you can do when a car, when it's too tight, you can run a rear sway bar. That will loosen it up and make it drive a little bit better. Ain't that right, BP?
That's exactly right. What he's talking about is this little strip right there on the roof of the car. That's an air deflector. And believe it or not, that puts some downforce on the front of the car here and makes the car a little bit looser. The Nextel Cup cars are complaining about being too tight. These cars too loose. And they're basically the same tires. The only problem is that air deflector on the roof.
Yeah, and the rear sway bar that they're talking about, the reason we can't run them in the Nextel Cup Series, but in the Busch Series you still can. And what it does is it basically stiffens the rear springs whenever the bar gets loaded. So that allows you to keep softer springs in it, which will allow the car to compress in the rear, go faster down the straightaway. When you get to the corner where you can have a push situation, it stiffens those rear springs up, especially that right rear, and makes the car turn better. That's pretty big adjustment to make, but obviously they've done it before and feel comfortable with that. So Kevin, I think you'll see him come to the front once we get back to racing.
So Kevin back in 19th spot right now. Dale Jarrett joining Benny and I today for our call of the Hershey's Kisses 300. He'll be trying to win a 4th Daytona 500 tomorrow. He's up here talking with his hands while he's talking about all these adjustments. What you guys have been fighting with your Daytona 500 car is a car that won't turn in the corner. You call it tight. It wants to keep going straight when you're trying to get it to turn left.
Yeah, well, I had that Tuesday and Wednesday with my car in practice. When I got to Thursday, they had fixed that problem, and I was extremely loose in the 125. So we've been fighting that problem. We got it fixed much more raceable yesterday. This morning, I was back on the loose side a little bit, but we had taken some sway bar out of it and made a couple of other adjustments. So we just wanted to try a few things. But yeah, most of the cars on our side are tight. We have more spoiler than what we've had here before, so that's getting more downforce on the rear of the car, and there's only so much you can do with the front to keep it down without hurting these tires. So really getting the car balanced is what this is all about, to where you can run fast, but yet keep the tires on it for a long period of time.
And talking about Kevin Harvick's car and what it was doing, we open up our virtual garage and show you what a loose race car looks like.
When the driver goes down in the corner and turns the steering wheel, see, green is good. You want all 4 tires being green. But when you turn the steering wheel and the rear tires get too much temperature, too much heat in them, the back end of the car keeps coming out, trying to spin out. That's the expression we use for loose, or the expression we use for that is loose. Now the opposite is tight, pushing, whatever.
Yeah, where you're really turning the wheel and the car's not going where you want it then. So Darrell Waltrip, I think, explained this a long time ago. If the car is pushing, you hit the wall with the front end. If it's loose, you hit it with the back end. So just give you an idea. But here, driving a loose race car is so much more difficult because the racetrack has a lot of dips in it. We won't call them bumps because it's not like you chatter across them, but it's got dips in it just from years of racing on it. And when you hit those, if you have any looseness at all, the front end goes down, gets a little bit of a grip there, and then that's when you lose the back end, and then that's when you start correcting. And if you're in the middle, such as Mike Bliss was, then you're really in trouble.
Because when you correct, you got to chase the car back up the hill beside a car.
Yeah, you need all the racetrack you can use at that time, and he didn't have that much to use up.
Two men who know from which they speak, the 1975 Daytona 500 winner and the 93, 2000, and 96 500 winners. I almost skipped one there. Well, Mike Bliss knows what loose means, and unfortunately, so don't 7 other drivers. Big pileup off turn 2 in Daytona has us under caution, and the rain has kept us there ever since. I have 3 words to describe what's happening now here at Daytona.
They would be?
Not too good. The rain is forcing NASCAR to bring the cars down the pit lane and stop the Hershey's Kisses 300. It's not raining heavily, but it's raining enough that they can't race in it at 185 miles an hour.
And you see the crews put in tarps on their pit box to try to have that as dry as possible for those cars to come in so they don't slide through their pit, because that is against NASCAR rules. You have to be inside that box. It's a penalty if you pit outside of it. So that's why they're trying to keep those pit boxes as dry as possible.
So at 1:26 Eastern Time, the red flag waves here at Daytona. We've never gone back racing after a caution that came out at lap number 13. An 8-car pileup off turn number 2. I show you this again from Wally's perspective because it's time for me to talk about fear factor. That'd be a big fear factor right there.
No doubt about that.
Looking at that wall coming up quickly. Ouch.
Wally and Casey Kane both in the 38 hitting the wall about the same time. But Wally a little bit harder.
And now this is the anger factor here.
Yeah, it takes off the steering wheel and just kind of throws it. You have a choice to lay it up there, or if you're really angry, you throw it. So he chose throwing.
So it leads me to tell you about Fear Factor, the Couples Championship, Monday night at 8/7 Central on NBC. You won't believe what some people will do to win $1 million. I know what some race drivers will do to win $1 million. The Fear Factor's Couples Championship, Monday night, 8/7 Central here on NBC. That's about what it pays to win the 500, right? A little over $1 million.
Over $1 million, yeah, which is just incredible. Amazing that we have that opportunity, but you'll see some guys taking some real chances tomorrow afternoon to try to win that $1 million.
But you know what? I mean, you've won. You have 3 of those trophies on the mantle. But I talked to Brian Vickers, who's 20 years old this morning, and he said, if somebody helps, we were talking about the veterans will not help the rookies very much. And he said, if somebody will help me tomorrow, I said, it's worth some money to them, right? He said, they can have my share. I just want the trophy.
I agree with him. I just want another trophy. I could really, if someone hadn't have told me how much it pays for the race tomorrow, I probably wouldn't know, because I don't look at the entry blanket and not concerned with that. It's about having those Daytona 500 trophies on your mantle, as you well know. There's nothing like it. We can talk about, all of these other races, but there's nothing like winning the Daytona 500.
But on Monday, you pick up the entry blank to see how much it paid if you win.
Well, it's kind of nice, yeah. You pick up the paper and they got those big numbers out there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Dale Jarrett's name is on the Harley Earl Trophy for the winner of the 500 on 3 occasions. This was 1993.
Yes.
Led by Dale Earnhardt coming to the white flag.
Yeah, that was pretty special there to pass Dale. Then I had to hold him off here for about 23 laps, and he tried everything in the world, but I had a really fast Ford that day.
1996, and then in 2000.
I was able to get by Johnny Benson on a restart. Johnny had a fast car, but we had a restart with about 3 laps to go, and was able to pass him coming out of turn 2.
And Dale Jarrett going for a 4th Daytona 500 victory tomorrow afternoon. NBC coverage starting at noon Eastern Time with Discover Card Countdown to Green. We have a fantastic pre-race show lined up for you, and that's all just before we get the green flag and the beginning of the action. Well, the drivers have been allowed to park their cars and cover them up, and Matt's been allowed to go out and talk with Dale Jr.
We'll peek inside Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s race car. First off, give me a grade on your race car at this juncture early on.
It's a lot better than it was yesterday. We really didn't change nothing, and sometimes that's just the way it is. But the car was awesome, and one of the best cars on the track right now. Me and Robbie worked together a little bit, and then I passed him for the lead, and we're just having some fun. He's got a pretty good car. All of Richard's cars are real good. He's builds a strong motor down here. So I look forward to racing them all day. If we can stay out of trouble and we don't have any bad luck, we'll be there at the end.
You love racing on the restrictor plate tracks in the Busch car, don't you?
Well, just a lot of fun. I mean, it's not your typical kind of racing, and I like it because it's more of a mind game, than just who's got the best car or the best driver that day, because we all wake up on a different side of the bed every once in a while. But when you come to Daytona, it's pretty much anybody's game, and I like that factor. I like the drafting. I mean, there's not many tracks where you just catch a run on somebody and just blow by them and keep on going. It's just amazing to feel the draft that these cars create. Little Shane was telling me the next thing I need to do is drive a truck. He said I really wouldn't believe that shit. So I don't know, I'm just really excited to have opportunity. I'm thankful that me and Teresa could put this team together. Hopefully Martin can get his car going in the right direction and have a good day for both of us.
Well, hopefully this rain will stop and we'll get out back on the racetrack and see exactly what Driver 8 can do. Marty Snyder?
Well, Matt Dale Jr.'s talented young protege here, Martin Truex Jr., getting ready to unbuckle and get out. I know the question you wanted to know before the race that everybody wants to know now, was the car as good as it was in practice before the wreck?
Yeah, I think it was. I'm just still out here learning and chilling out, trying not to get in any trouble. And so far I've learned a little bit. I think the outside's the place to be, so we'll see if I can get up there in a little bit here.
You didn't have a whole lot of laps, but did you finally get comfortable in the car?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We made a little bit of an adjustment. It was a little bit free off of 2, and right where Bliss spun out there. But I think we'll be all right. We just get some help and get some more laps, plenty of time to go.
How did you miss that thing? That was right in your wheelhouse, wasn't it? You were really close to that one.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I guess one of them wrecked into me yesterday, so the other one had to go away from me, I guess.
Maybe the luck finally turning for Martin Truex Jr. He missed the wreck this afternoon. Dave?
Well, Robbie Gordon is discussing a little racing strategy here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I heard him say, that stuff is fun, isn't it? You having a good time out there?
Well, these roof spoilers and rear gurneys on the rear wings are pretty cool, or rear spoilers, I should say. But it's fun. Just talking to Junior, our cars look like they're pretty good together. Both of us got to the back one time, about 5th, 6th place, and charged right to the front together. So looks like it's gonna be okay.
Why the choice not to change tires on the first pit stop, Robbie?
Stay tuned.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait through a rain delay and just see what they do when they get back on track. Matt?
Another hot young driver, and that's Kyle Busch. Now, you have to really continue to improve your confidence by having guys like Kevin Harvick come over and say, hey, you're making the right moves, and you were trying to make the right moves with Dale Earnhardt Jr. What happened?
I was just following him around for a little while, and then he just kind of left me out on my own on the outside groove. But
he dumped you.
He dumped me. That's what Junior will do to you, though. But we had a great run. We're doing really good in the Lowe's Shopback Chevrolet this weekend, and we're just out here having a good time. I wish this rain would stop so we can actually get some racing in instead of just running around underneath the yellow flags.
Now, you've had a very productive speed week already, winning the ARCA race. Does that give you extra confidence coming into this race?
It boosts confidence, yeah, it definitely does, because we got some experience in the ARCA race, and to be able to go out there and run up front and to win that race, it not necessarily gave you a lot of experience just running up front, but coming through the pack when I got that lap down, that's what really helped us out.
So who's your spotter?
That's actually my dad. He's up on the booth. He already lost me the first lap of the race. I was like, dude, I am not clear low, and I got a car right up in front of me, but he found me, so we're all right.
Now, can you fire your dad during a race, or is there kind of like father privileges there?
Well, if Ricky was up there and spotting to take over, I could fire him, but no, he's doing a good job. We're going to be all right throughout the season, so as soon as we get to some racetracks where the driver counts, then we're definitely going to make a showing, hopefully.
Well, he's making a very strong showing so far, and his dad still has his job right now. Marty?
Well, Matt, Johnny Sauter trying to describe exactly what happened on pit road. So why don't you tell us what happened on pit road?
I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. Come on.
I just screwed up. I mean,
I'm pretty disappointed. I mean, our Kleenex Pontiac is bad to the bone, I can tell you that much. To come from where we did to get up to where we were, we're good. We're just a little bump in the road, but pretty optimistic, and I promise I won't hit my guys no more.
Did you talk to Pat on the radio or anything? Pat Schaefer, the front tire carrier that you knocked down. I tried to soften that one there.
It's really not that funny, but you know, I just said I was sorry to those guys. Luckily, nobody's hurt, so that's the main thing, and we'll just regroup here and then make a run for the win. I'm telling you, I'm super optimistic about this whole weekend. I mean, the Cup car's stout on the other side, and you know, I told everybody yesterday that I was going to win both races this weekend, so hopefully I can back it up.
Very bold statement, but it looks really wild out there in this Busch Series race, is it?
It really is. I mean, I like this rule package. I mean, it's made a pretty tight field, and man, that Wagner motor is pretty stout underneath the hood of my Pontiac there, so hopefully we can get to victory lane.
Quick update on this front tire carrier, Pat Schaefer. He is fine. 2 stitches underneath the left eye. Dave?
With Mike Wallace now, who always seems to run here good at Daytona, coming off of a 3rd place finish last night in the Truck Series race. This is a little different game. How's your car running?
My car's really good. We took a little bit of gear out of it since yesterday's practice, and that probably hurt us a little bit when you got to roll up out of the throttle a bit. A few guys got loose, but our car handles extremely well. It's very neutral, and I look forward to driving the Geico car right to the front and trying to win this race. I think we got a good enough car to do it, and as you know, the Speedway racing all depends on what line you get in and who's pushing you and all that, but really happy about that, and you know, everything's good.
And who you go with. We saw you talking with Junior as well. He's kind of a continuing theme in my interviews here.
He is a continuing theme. My theme with him was I told him I needed to lead a lap for 5 points. Could he help me if we got there? We knew what we were doing, you know. I mean.
And his answer?
And his answer was, get there and I'll help you, you know. But I mean, he's not gonna. It's kind of like, roll back, let me lead by a foot at the line for my 5 points, and we'll go on. You know, we're gonna run the whole series this year with Geico and Sport Clips on board, and so 5 points every race, and I think that's times 34 is 170 at the end of the year, so we got to figure out how to lead a lap every race.
Hey, BP, you still up there?
I'm here.
Hey, maybe you can help me with the golf game that way. Next time we both chip up onto the green, will you help me then?
You mean give you the putt? No, you got to make them all,
okay.
Dave.
Okay, so Mike's going to have to actually get up there in order for Junior to let him by and leave 5 points.
There are no gimmies. No gimmies in
He
this
says
business.
there's no gimmies, Mike.
I know, just tell BP that that was just a conversation with Junior. It's
not a deal?
You know? No, because I'm hoping I can just drive by him. And as BP says, I'm going to put myself in the box, BP. That way you have to talk about me. I always kid him. I says, talk about us. He says, put yourself in. He holds his fingers up, goes, put yourself in the box and you'll be fine.
Hey, put your thumbs together. You can make a W there, too. What if he gets the W there, BP?
Hey, he would definitely
Victory
be in
lane,
the box.
A win, huh, BP?
That'll be in the
Come
box.
on, now you got to talk.
BP, talk about him if he's up there, all right?
I will.
We'll talk with Michael Waltrip and others when we come back to Daytona International Speedway. We're under a rain delay in the Hershey's Kisses 300. TNT Sports welcomes you live to Daytona International Speedway for the resumption of the Hershey's Kisses 300. It's Speed Week's overtime. Rain stopped the race Saturday. Now it's here to be an encore to the Daytona 500 instead of a warm-up act. The star of yesterday's race will play a leading role today. Matt Yoakum is with him now.
After the biggest win and probably the biggest celebration of his racing career, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back to business, leading the Busch Series race. You're trying to sweep the weekend, Junior. Tony Jr. says you've got one more trip in you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, actually. It's kind of like a bonus race here. Be able to suit up after the Daytona 500 and get some more laps in while everybody else is going home. So this is going to be a pretty neat deal. Got a great car. Hopefully we'll wrap this thing up with a sweep, huh?
Real quick, you're trying to get closer to your dad's record of 5 straight in this event.
Yeah. Hopefully I ain't jinxed myself by letting everybody know I was shooting for that, because I try not to tell people my goals because it seems not to do you any good. But it'd be nice to win 5 in a row, if not 6 in a row.
He's got a good view right from the front.
37 drivers are ready to resume competition at Daytona at lap 31 of 120. First, they need the command to begin. A little microphone malfunction on a Monday, but they did say, gentlemen, start your engines. And here we go for more NASCAR racing from Daytona International Speedway. Beautiful day here on Florida's East Coast. Sun is out, a little bit chillier than it was for yesterday's Daytona 500, but still a very nice afternoon, especially compared to what it's like in most of the eastern United States. And you see a good crowd has turned out on hand to see today's Hershey's Kisses 300. Let's check down on pit road before we get things back going again. Here's Marty Snyder.
Alan, one of the favorites to win the Daytona 500 was Michael Waltrip, but of course he had the vicious crash yesterday. It's probably been replayed more than anything in the Daytona 500. Here it is again for you. Michael going over on his roof several times, tumbling 5 times, and eventually the car ending up upside down. You would think after all that the 6'5" Waltrip would be at least a little sore this morning, but Mikey was not sore. In fact, this morning he jogged over to his souvenir trailer, signed autographs for an hour and a half, and then jogged back. Michael Waltrip at 6'5", feeling fine this morning, even after that wild ride yesterday in the Daytona 500. Dave?
Marty, I'm back in the garage area. Another guy who took a wild ride on Saturday in this Busch race was Mike Bliss. In fact, he admitted his car started that whole melee that caused the big one here. His team right now waits to work on his car. When NASCAR threw the red flag on Saturday, it required them to stop working on this car. They'd already welded the rear frame back together. Now they're waiting to put a new rear end housing on it, also set the toe to make sure that it drives straight. He's not the only car back here. Paul Menard's 33 and Rick Markle's 68 are also back here making repairs. When they get back out, they know they'll not be running with the lead pack, but they're going to try to keep up the minimum speed to get a finishing position or pick up positions and get valuable points. Alan?
And the red flag just withdrawn. You see the crew giving the nod by NASCAR officials that they are allowed to go back to work on their cars. And you'll see how quickly they can get those machines out onto the speedway. Cars are rolling off onto the track here at Daytona. They'll make a couple of laps before they cut them loose under the green flag. May see some pit stops in that time. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, Benny Parsons. Glad to be back with you for a Daytona Encore for Speed Weeks 2004. Benny, yesterday was the Daytona 500. Some drivers who finished in the sport's biggest race yesterday, like Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip and others, coming back today. Can they get up for this race?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like playing a day game after the World Series, but I think once they run a few laps and they get that adrenaline going of trying to win the race, I think they'll be okay.
And yesterday, this race, of course, the resumption of the action that happened here on Saturday. That race went green a little after 12:30 Eastern time. And let's catch you up on what happened from the green flag to the point the rain stopped it. This was the big moment. Wally, you have a starring role.
This was a big moment for me. Oh, boy, I watched this and go. Oh.
That's Wally's car, the 88, and
bam!
Ouch. Yeah, I had no place to go. The 20 got sideways in front of me, and boom, I hit him. And right here, I tried hitting the gas to try to miss the wall, and I got the car turned a little bit, but the steering wouldn't work. So I hit the wall anyway.
And once you get on that grass, you had no hopes of getting it turned.
No, it was just for the ride.
That was an 8-car wreck that started around 11th spot at lap number 12. And the race never restarted from there. They ran almost 20 laps behind the pace car while the rain peppered the racetrack. Finally, they stopped the field, and then the rain really started pouring down. And a little after 4:40 Eastern time, the race was called for the night, postponed until now. So pit road is going to be open as the field comes by behind the pace car. And we'll see if any of the leaders make stops to get a final tune-up or a top off of fuel before they cut them loose again. Be interesting on a couple of fronts mechanically. Track conditions will have changed since they raced Saturday. The heavy rain, then the Daytona 500 yesterday. Now the sun popping in and out of clouds here today. Be interesting to see how that might affect the handling.
It's very cool today, though. I think that'll help the cars initially.
I think you're right. I think also there's probably some guys come in. I wouldn't be surprised to see some people put some tape on the front of these cars. A lot of guys complain about the cars being tight. Put a little tape on the grill. That's going to help the downforce in the front, make the front stick a little bit better.
It looks like most all of the cars are going to come down pit road. They can pit now and make this race on one more stop because they have 22-gallon fuel cells. Dave?
Well, Jason Leffler liked his car. He had just come in and put on fresh rubber before the last stop. So this was all about topping off the fuel. Marty?
Kevin Harvick among those cars that will come down pit road. They're going to take fuel only here, Dave. The theory being they know they can make it on one stop. They're not sure everybody else can, so they want to be in everybody else's window along with them. Matt?
A gas only for Kyle Busch. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember on Saturday at his stop, he did a gas only, saving tires, and he's got a brand new set now, so he does have 4 sticker tires on now. No adjustments for Dale Jr.
So the 8 took tires, but a lot of the other cars that pitted there just took fuel only, so that's going to put Junior back in traffic for the restart.
They had changed their tires, as we talked about earlier. on Saturday, so they not need the new tires. Fuel only, and Junior now goes back in the middle of the pack.
So it'll be just a few more minutes before the resumption of racing here. Bill Weber's working with us today on our NASCAR Busch Series broadcast. Bill, where are you?
Alan, I'm over here at Daytona, USA. Had to sneak in and get a look at the race-winning car from the Daytona 500. Dale Earnhardt's car from yesterday, what a great victory for him. You know, you win the Daytona 500, you get the trophy, you get the money, you get the prestige, the memories. The one thing you don't get is your car back. After the victory lane celebration and, of course, the mandatory post-race inspection, this car is taken by some very special agents, brought over here to Daytona, USA, snuck it in the middle of the night and put it on display right here for everybody to see. It's in exactly the same condition it was when Junior drove it into victory lane. In fact, it even smells a little bit like that Budweiser celebration. It sits here for a year. When Junior comes back to defend his title next year in 2005, his car will be presented to him just before the race. But until then, it sits here on display in Daytona, USA. You can see the teams have signed it. It's still dirty. It's even got the confetti on it from that victory lane celebration. It's, look, don't touch. Well, you can come to Daytona, USA and see it, but don't touch, Alan.
It's only 11 o'clock in the morning, and Weber's in trouble with the security guards already. 1 to go. Race resumes in a lap. Matt?
A lot of slow-moving people down in the A pit. Tony Eury Sr., tell me about last night. How late did everybody stay out?
I think it was probably about 3:45 when I heard the rumble when they came back, but you know, they deserve it. They did a good job yesterday and were awesome, but I just told Dale Jr. on the radio that wasn't too good a pit stop, but the guys that went to bed was the ones that was messing up. The guys that went out did good, so maybe we need to take them out on Saturday night or something. But they'll get better here. We probably won't have to make one more stop in this race, and Dale Jr. likes to get back where he can race a little bit anyway, so we'll see how it goes.
Now, you were a part of that 5-race streak with the Big E. It'd be neat to get this streak going here.
Yeah, you know, that was a long time ago, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, when we first started that streak, we were real dominant, and as it went, it got tighter and tighter and tighter. You know, in that last race, we almost didn't get that last one. We just lucked up and won that last one. So I expect probably the same thing's going to happen in this deal right here too.
Matt Yoakum referring to a string of wins in this Saturday 300 during Speed Weeks that Dale Earnhardt enjoyed, with Tony Eury Sr. leading his team. Earnhardt Jr. going for his 3rd straight win in this race here today. Derek Cope is the leader. He did not pit, along with Greg Biffle, David Green, Gus Wassam, Damon Lusk, Matt Kenseth. Those drivers all choosing not to pit here under this caution, and they get out at the front of the field. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to restart back in 16th. Remember, he took tires on his pit stop. So that sets the stage. Pace car will be heading off, and we will resume the Hershey's Kisses 300 a whole lot later than when it started, but nonetheless, we should see some great racing here. Glad you're with us on TNT as the green flag waves once again.
Biffle's laying back, trying to get a run on this restart. Biffle in the 2nd position.
Oh, a bunch of guys jumped down there, low side right away.
Gus Wasson, the blue car up on the outside, about to be overtaken, it looks like.
For the lead, Greg Biffle to the outside of Derek Cope, with David Green pushing him in the draft. New leader, Greg Biffle, in the 60 car.
Looked like Derek Cope can even hang with those guys. Whoa. Traffic jam behind him, too.
Behind him, yeah.
3 wide off 4.
17 car with a big bandage on the right front fender is Matt Kenseth. Had some damage in those opening 12 laps that we raced on Saturday, but you see the crew patched it up.
Junior restarted in 16th. 1 lap, he was up to 8th.
Let's see if he pulls out a line here. As He's trying to, but they've got that inside lane crowded up against the yellow line.
Yeah.
Here's Matt Kenseth.
And they're going somewhere, too. That
Man, what
line was going.
Ron Hornaday in the 2, going with Kenseth in that outside lane. Michael Waltrip in the 99, down in the inside group.
There's Mikey trying to get a backup car. He crashed here on Friday in the last practice session. Had to go to backup.
Little bump draft there. Hornaday on Kenseth.
And we're not exaggerating. They actually do hit each other. Just like he hit Greg Biffle in the 60 cars. He pulled up in front of him.
On board the leader, Greg Biffle.
Teammates working together. Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth, first and second.
Both these cars leading the race out of Jack Roush stable.
Here comes Hornaday.
Wow.
Paul Wolf in the 6 car.
Wow.
First time at Daytona, jumps in behind Hornaday and goes for second.
What a move he made. How in the world? Bill, what about Hornaday?
Man, he's got a super fast car. I just talked to his crew chief, Butch Hilton, very happy with the car. Hornaday said he can pull up. He wasn't sure how well he'd be able to pass. Now he knows, Dave.
Well, and speaking of passing, Bill, the 60 car of Greg Biffle was pretty sure he would get past. He's known all weekend he has a pretty good car pushing people and in the draft, but he doesn't think he can lead that well. In fact, he radioed in just before they went green, or after he took the lead from Derek Cope. Guys, I think I can lead a few laps here, but don't think we have a very fast car. Marty?
Dave, if the rain helped anyone, it's Matt Kenseth. They pitted 17 times to match their number on the side of the car on pit road Saturday under all those caution laps he ran while it was raining. They got the right front fender fixed. I asked Matt before the race, are you worried about that damage, or do you think it's fixed well enough? He said, nah, I just looked at it. It's great. The car will be excellent. So far, so good.
And around the outside, here comes Greg Biffle in the 60 back to the lead. That's Kevin Harvick behind him in the push in the 21 car. 00 is Jason Leffler in the outside lane. And Hornaday now racing for third in the 2 on the inside line. Remember that these NASCAR Busch Series cars are running the package the now Nextel Cup Series cars ran a few years ago. They've got the strip across the roof of the car, the roof blade we call it, plus that gurney lip. The extra lip on the back of the rear spoiler. They punch a big hole in the air, and it creates a huge draft. We'll see a lot of shuffling up front all day.
It does. I mean, you get a run on a guy, all of a sudden you're like, you think somebody's wrecking in front of you.
Oh, trouble. Wow, that was a wreck that just didn't happen.
Paul Wolf just simply turned down too quickly and ran across the nose of the 37 car and almost got turned in front of this entire group.
Well, he did it going into 3 a few laps ago, and David Green gave him a break. I don't think it's going to happen again.
That was the big wreck that just didn't happen. Biffle leads, Harvick second, Leffler third, Hornaday and Kenseth side by side for fourth.
Now we're getting to the point where these tires will start wearing off, and these guys will start jacking off the throttle, then start backing off. The cars will move around.
Here's for the lead. Let's check out that close call a minute ago.
Yeah, you see Wolf here in the middle. Just came down across 37. Boy, I'll tell you what, that was close.
You don't get those left sides on that flat apron here often and not crash.
Because it does. It jacks the car sideways, and boy, if you get one save when you get on the apron, but you don't get two.
Yeah. So Harvick now the leader. 00 of Jason Leffler is second. They're single file front four. 6 car, Paul Wolf. Let's check on him, Matt.
You might think he's a little rusty, not from having to wait 48 hours, but the fact that the team fought braking problems during practice. He never had an opportunity to go out during the big drafting practice, the final practice session. He was just going to try to play it nice and easy. A very close call, Marty.
Matt, remember Kevin Harvick pitted when we went back to the caution flag here today and restarted 20th when we went back to green. Already he's up in the top 5, taking the lead for a moment as he battles there on the high line. I asked Kevin, are you going to hang back? Because it would be easy to do that, or are you going to the front? Oh, and we have a crash on the
turn 4.
Paul Wolf finally spun off turn 4, and around he goes. It's going to collect about 10 cars.
You could just see when he was in the center of that pack, he was having a hard time keeping that thing in the middle lane.
43 is Josh Richardson. Mike Wallace just crashed onto pit road, scattering somebody's pit crew.
22 got, well, he got in that grass, and that grass is still wet. You cannot slow down in this grass.
Martin Truex, Paul Wolf, we called his number earlier.
Oh, man.
That's Mike Wallace, who crashed into the pit wall after coming out of the wet grass. 77 car, also in it, Donnie Neuenberger. There's his machine.
9 cars.
9 cars in all involved in the crash. Tim Fita was driving away. 62 of Larry Hollenbeck's driving away.
Well, you could just see that coming, Benny.
You could.
Watch that 6 car in the center. He could. It just didn't seem like he could stay in the middle. He was going down. He was starting up.
Oh boy, hit Kyle Busch.
And Busch somehow keeps control.
And I don't know how Michael Waltrip got through there either.
And Junior was under the 6 car, and Wolf tried to come down. Junior was there. He had to go back up. He got the car going back and forth, and just finally could not save it off turn 4.
Watch Michael Waltrip in the 99. I don't know how he gets through this thing. Right there. Watch this. Whoa!
Right in front of Fedewa, Josh Richardson.
And now I see Mike Wallace into the grass. He'll end up across the pit lane and into the wall, protecting the pit crews from the racing cars.
I don't know what the heck, why he went up the track like that so much. I think just broke loose on him.
Daytona rookie lesson.
You know, and he's part of a program called the Hungry Drivers Program. And at the end of the year, hopefully one of these 4 drivers are going to use this year would get a free ride. He did not do himself any good today, did he?
Coming at you.
Yeah, Busch did a good job saving that car after he got hit.
So the 6 car going to be rolled back behind the wall for damage repairs. And now check this out.
And this is pretty scary here.
Mike Wallace in the 4 car gets turned into the grass, fights it, and watch how he ends up hitting the wall, separating the pit crews from the race cars. If you are ever at a racetrack, rule number 1 is never turn your back on the cars. Never turn your back to the direction the cars come from. That's why pit crews always have to be paying attention. Another big wreck. Now up to 10 cars are tally under caution at Daytona. A NASCAR Monday matinee on this President's Day from Daytona Beach, Florida. The NASCAR Busch Series Hershey's Kisses 300 under caution after a multi-car pileup off turn 4.
Watch the 6. Paul Wolf goes up, gets in the side of the 5 of Kyle Busch, and comes down in front of Timmy Fedewa, and it's on. No place for all these cars to go. Mike Wallace, the red 4 car, comes down through the grass, ends up hitting the inside wall.
You don't realize how fast you're going, Benny, until going backwards or sideways.
Where you get on that grass and you say, man, just no traction whatsoever in that wet grass.
And the list of those involved in the crash. We put Michael Waltrip in there. He got nicked on the side by the Paul Wolf car when he came back across the track. And let's hear from the man who was at the focal point of the beginning of that crash with Marty.
He was in the middle lane there, Alan, and the car looked pretty out of control there in the middle. Paul, what happened?
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly without looking at the replay. Everything's happening so fast out there, and and the middle's definitely not the place to be. And I hate to say really what happened. I mean, I guess just the air moving the car around, and I don't know if I pinched up on a guy on the outside and just ran out of room. I really hate it for anybody that was involved in it, and the guys on this team just worked so hard. And it's a really good car. Just really frustrated with the way it ended.
Tough break for this promising rookie, Alan.
So 10 cars involved anyway in this accident. And if you missed any of Daytona 500 coverage yesterday, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s big win, encore presentation, TNT, late night tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern and Pacific. The Hershey's Kisses 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series on TNT Sports, live from Daytona Beach, Florida on this Monday, wrapping up the second caution flag after an 11-car crash off turn 4. Tonight, Chris Noth in the world premiere of Bad Apple, 9 o'clock on TNT. It's a TNT original that takes mob movies to a whole new place. Bad Apple, 9 tonight on TNT.
That could be starring me or you, either one, couldn't it, Wally?
Yeah.
Bad Apple.
All right, Marty.
Well, Alan crew chief Sherry Baxter kind of said, you know, I'm going to leave it up to you, Michael. It's your decision whether or not you think the damage is bad enough to come down pit road. Michael said, well, I think it's fine. They got a little right side damage, but he says, as long as the right front's not damaged, I'm not going to worry about it, Dave.
Marty, the 60 car of Greg Biffle came in. His car was just a little bit tight. They made a chassis adjustment, but more importantly, crew chief Brad Parrott told me that they wanted to get in sync with the cars that pitted just after the red. His teammate in the 17, the 2, the 21, the 55, and of course, yesterday's Daytona 500 winner, the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Alan?
Biffle one of few that did pit under this caution. Remember, in the NASCAR Busch Series, they are limited to the number of sets of tires they can change under the yellow flag. You can't use them up too quickly.
Guy's laying back there. I thought you couldn't do that.
You can't. They say if you're within, you have to be within a couple of car lengths. If you lay back trying to get a run, you'll be penalized. But those guys that laid back did not particularly get a very good run. But it may come to pass down the backstretch.
Kevin Harvick is the leader. Jason Leffler is second. Ron Hornaday is third. Robbie Gordon took the restart fourth. Kenny Wallace is fifth. Now they're mixing it up for sixth. It's David Green, the Lone Ranger, in that green car down to the inside.
Kenseth and Earnhardt, they're trying to work the high side. Earnhardt hopping the back of Matt Kenseth's car in a 17. A little bump draft. Now they move down the bottom.
And they mix it up for third place. Ron Hornaday getting cut out of the herd. Robbie Gordon in that 55 car moved to the number 3 spot. And for the lead, make that for second. Robbie Gordon on Jason Leffler.
And here comes Kenseth in 17th car with a big run. Robbie moves over to block a little bit.
Junior is still following this group. He is being very, very cautious today. Patient in trying to work his way back to the front.
As wild as this race has been between what happened Saturday and what's already happened today, that's probably a good idea.
Matt, does he have a problem or just being patient?
Under that caution, Dale Jr. was talking to his crew. He said, you know, I tried to stay loyal to Martin Truex Jr. and to Michael Waltrip, but they didn't appear to have something that could really work with me, so I just had to let him go. Now he's got the 5 of Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch's plan on Saturday before the rains hit, he just wanted to hook up with the 8 and learn, try to pick up maybe something that might help him watching Dale Jr. That's exactly what he's doing right now.
Dale Jr. racing for third with Robbie Gordon. Beginning to see a lot of experience work its way toward the front of this field, huh? For the most part, Harvick and Kenseth and Earnhardt Jr. and Gordon, Jason Leffler with a lot of laps here at Daytona. The one wild card in that is that 5. Kyle Busch, 18 years old, Kurt's younger brother. He has an ARCA race here at Daytona under his belt. He won it. This is his first NASCAR Busch Series race, and certainly his first race with the cars in this rules configuration. Matt?
Every lap, Alan's a big learning experience for Kyle Busch. Earlier in the race, he went 3 wide. He brushed the wall. He had to pull up alongside Dale Earnhardt Jr. to take a look at that right front fender under the caution. They told him it was fine. They told him, just look, settle in now. We have a ways to go.
Michael Waltrip kind of backing up, huh, BP?
Maybe he does have some damage from that accident. Maybe he should have gone to pit road and had it looked at.
Yep, and smoking on the right rear.
And that's where he was touched. The sheet metal was touched by Paul Wolf as he spun off turn 4.
So we'll keep an eye on Mikey for you and let you know what ends up becoming of that, and whether he comes to pit road or tries to limp it out to another caution.
And the reason Michael Waltrip is running so high right now, in case that tire blows, he doesn't have so far to go to hit that wall, Marty.
Yeah, Jerry Baxter, the crew chief, radio to him, said we have a right rear smoking. Michael has said nothing. All he's done, like you said, BP, move higher on the racetrack, so if it does blow, the impact won't be so hard.
For the lead.
Like Junior up on the outside.
With a bit on the outside of Kevin Harvick.
By himself.
Not for long.
But you know all these guys are going to jump behind that 8 car. They know how fast he is.
Robbie Gordon glued right to the back of Harvick's car, pushing him down the back stretch. Look at that.
Richard Childress Racing teammates on the Nextel Cup side of things. This 55, though, that's Robbie Gordon's own race team.
With help from Richard Childress. He's doing the engines.
Yeah.
Robbie planning on running a majority of the NASCAR Busch Series races in 2004. So Harvick holds on to the lead for now. Junior retreats to third. Kyle Busch now up to draft with him. And we'll see if they mount another charge. Well, Robbie Gordon to block. Here goes Kyle Busch low.
Well, Robbie's done that a couple of times today, but it's cost some spots every time he's done that.
And that's one advantage that Junior has in having such a fast race car. When they do that to him, he can just back up and let him do it and be patient and go on the inside of it.
Kyle's going to try and jump down in line behind Junior. I think that's where Kyle wants to be. We heard that reported from pit road a minute ago. He wants to run with Dale Jr. And that's, for a young guy, that's pretty smart strategy.
Not a bad plan.
52 of 120 laps complete. Working lap 53. Kevin Harvick leads the Hershey's Kisses 300. Back live at Daytona. Back to racing side by side for the lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. outside in the 8. And Kevin Harvick down low in the 21.
I think the low groove, the bottom of the racetrack, is the best groove, but Junior was not able to get alongside Harvick. He decided, I'll go to the outside. Kenny Wallace, the 23, jumped along with him, and also Kyle Busch, but they have not made a lot of progress.
Matt Kenseth in 17, Greg Biffle in 16, working with Harvick in that inside lane. And that's Johnny Sauter in the 27, the blue and white car that's come into the picture in this lead pack.
That's out of Matt Kenseth's car, the right side of his car, as he tries to go by Junior, and looks like he can.
Is Matt getting a push from Biffle?
Or what?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Kenny Wallace saying, okay, Junior, I couldn't push you through. I better get back with the lane that's moving.
Yes.
A couple of quick updates. Mike Wallace checked and released from the infield medical center after his crash for that inside pit lane. Mike Bliss and Paul Menard, we told you before the start, began working to repair their cars when the red flag was rescinded. They both returned to the racetrack. How about Kenny Wallace, Dave?
Well, Alan, when you know you're not the car to beat here, sometimes you tell guys, I can help you if you'll push me. I mean, that does work. You can be pulled as well as pushed. So Kenny knows that his car is not that great at leading, but he can get a push from guys like Earnhardt Jr. and the 99 of Michael Waltrip. And he's told them that, and he believes he can run in this front pack. The question is, can he lead at the end? Matt?
Dave, these bodies are so temperamental. Even though they all fit the templates, teams are a little creative here and there in different parts of the body. Now the 5 car, Kyle Busch, his car loves to suck up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. When he was following Robbie Gordon's car, his car developed a really bad, tight condition. That's why he was trying to maneuver his way to get back to Dale Jr.
Matt, is he having a trouble? Is the 5 car having trouble getting into the corner? Has he said what the car is doing or where he's having the problem?
He says the car is a little bit not to his liking on entries, not that bad off, but he was horrible behind the 55. It really plowed.
Yeah, it looks like he is having trouble getting into the corner. It looks good from the center on, but getting in, he's having a hard time. Getting a push right now.
3 wide.
And Junior just having trouble fighting his way through this traffic. I guess everyone's afraid if the 8 car gets in front, he'll never be seen again.
That's a legitimate fear.
Yeah. It is. Squeezed up in front of Robbie. Now, Robbie stays behind the 8 car. Those guys, I think, will get. Oh, that's in front of the 8 car. Yeah, okay. Robbie's got a fast car.
We are halfway through this race. 150 miles of the 300. So it is an official race now. Never got to that point on Saturday before the rain intervened. By the way, I see your name scrolling through here on the ticker on the top.
Just lost a spot.
We appreciate you coming back.
I'm a little bit disappointed in Mr. Jarrett for not hanging in there and finishing the job. Coming up here, and he's got all my whole areas messed up over here. What's up with that?
We're appreciative he chose to fill in for you on Saturday while you were out there pounding the wall.
But you thought you were going to have a great day. You had a really good car on Saturday.
I was having fun while it lasted. It was a good car. Had my teammate and car owner pushing me up the up through the pack, which was big help. Joe was working that rear bumper.
we'll get Dale Jarrett back up with us in one of these other races later in the season when you're going to drive again. He did a great job for us. So we've reached the midway point, and Kevin Harvick continues to lead the Hershey's Kisses 300. Live from Daytona, you're watching NASCAR on TNT. TNT's coverage of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is brought to you by Little Hershey's Kisses, big chocolate taste. By Smooth Busch Beer, an easy drink in Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. And by Subway, good so you don't always have to be. Subway, eat fresh. Past halfway of the Hershey's Kisses 300, Kevin Harvick continues to lead. They've been mixing it up a little bit from about 4th on back, and it got kind of wild off turn 4 a lap ago.
I think you've got, look at this off turn 4. Watch the 55 car. Gets hit from behind, I guess, by Johnny Sauter and almost turned around. I think it looks to me like it's gotten so wild that Junior's just backed out of this group and said, guys, go ahead and play, and later on I'll try to get to the front. Or does he have a problem with the car? I'm not sure, but
I think you're right on the first one.
Matt?
BP Jr. said on the radio, these guys are driving too crazy. Too many idiots out here right now is what Junior said. So I'm just going to drop back and just ride. NASCAR did warn the 5-car of Kyle Busch. His team said, NASCAR says, stop weaving. Just try to pick a lane and stay there. Bill?
Behind the 8 is the 2 of Ron Hornaday, and Hornaday is just too loose to get in traffic. Behind him is David Green. Green's afraid of losing the trap, so he told his spotter to tell Hornaday's spotter, let's go. When he got the word that Hornaday's just too loose, he said, well, he better get going anyway, because we are going to lose these guys.
David Green and Ron Hornaday. Hornaday in 11th, Green in 12th. And you see the gap up to the end of that pack there. You're in danger of losing touch with.
Yeah, the last time by, they were 1/3 of a second slower than the lead group of Kevin Harvick.
Jason Leffler, 0-0, kind of cut out of the herd there, and that sweep on the high side off turn 2. Here comes Johnny Sauter in 27 and David Stremme in 32 by Leffler.
I tell you what, Stremme's done a nice job so far. Looks like he's keeping the car under control.
That's a kid with big talent. Isn't it, BP?
Sure is.
Came around last year, won the Rebestis Rookie of the Year title despite running only 18 races. He's in a car that's basically funded by Chip Ganassi for the Todd Braun racing team. And in his first Daytona NASCAR Busch Series race, he's running 8th.
See the 20 car, Mike Bliss, on the bottom of the racetrack, so he has his car back out there trying to pick up as many points as he possibly can. And he'll pass several cars if he can run another 10 laps or so.
He's showing back in 37th place right now, 32 laps down to the race leader. So Joe Gibbs racing, number 20. Coach here yesterday watching Tony Stewart give a good fight to try and win the Daytona 500. Marty, we've been talking about David Stremme.
He's doing a great job, Alan. He's also doing a good job trying to take care of his friends out there on the racetrack. He tried to help Ron Hornaday for the longest time, and as Bill just told you, he came on the radio and said, Hornaday's way too loose for me to help him. Tell him I'm sorry, but I'm getting ready to drop him out of the draft. Stremme has damage on the left side, on the right side, but the car's still doing great, just a little bit loose right now.
Stremme running in 8th place right now in that 32. Talk pit strategy here just for a second. These cars, unlike the Nextel Cup cars, run the regulation size fuel cell, the 22-gallon tank that the Nextel Cup cars use every place except Daytona and Talladega. So they can run in the neighborhood of 50 laps on a tank of fuel, maybe a little more. Leaders last pitted at lap 32. So we're closing in on when we should see another set of pit stops for these front runners. So let's take a break. We'll come back and be all lined up and ready to go for when they do hit pit road. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The caution flag is just waved here at Daytona International Speedway. Some troubles for Stacy Compton in the 59 car. You see some smoke trailing from the machine.
If that's an oil smoke where he's brushed the wall and knocked the sheet metal in on the tire.
Third yellow of the Hershey's Kisses 300. And it comes out just before a set of green flag pit stops would have been needed by the front runners.
My best guess would be with all the cars could make it to the end from here. So whatever chassis adjustments you might need, it's time to be making it.
Kevin Harvick is the race leader. Matt Kenseth is second. Greg Biffle third, Robbie Gordon fourth, Jason Leffler fifth, followed by Kyle Busch, Johnny Sauter, David Stremme, Kenny Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Earnhardt Jr. dropping back toward the end of that lead draft, as we talked about earlier, because things were getting a little hairy and wild up in the back. Now they're going to come down pit road, put on fresh tires, bunch them up for the restart, and hit the reset button again. Could be kind of interesting.
I think it's going to be kind of interesting.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to be the third driver to sweep the Saturday, when this race should have run, and Sunday Speed Weeks events here at Daytona. It was done last in 1989 by Darrell Waltrip. Prior to that, Bobby Allison did it in 1988.
Well, you know everybody's going to get 4.
That makes sense, wouldn't it?
So that would be my guess. I don't think they would try to run 100 laps on left sides, or not 100 laps, but probably about 75 or 80.
So everybody looking for a clean pit stop here to get their guy out first, Dave.
Biffle reported in, my car is aero loose and chassis tight. They will take air out of the left side tires. Also make a wedge adjustment, wrench going in the back window right there. Marty?
Dave, leader Kevin Harvick can go all the way from here on fuel. The car just a little bit tight, very slight half-pound on the right front tire. Kevin's never finished out of top 5 here, but never won. Bill?
Johnny Sauter is tight and frustrated. It's an air pressure adjustment for the chassis and a soothing talk for the driver. Matt?
The Bud guys wearing Oreo colors today, making a chassis adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. His car was a tick on the tight side. They will try to free it up so it won't be as tight at the end of this run at the finish.
Earnhardt Jr. going to gain several spots on that exchange of pit stops. He went in 10th. Looks like he came off about 5th. Let's check the camera and the scoring line at pit exit and confirm the running order as they left. Here we go. The jack fell.
Robbie Gordon. All right.
Harvick.
Yeah.
Biffle.
Junior.
Then Matt Kenseth. So.
Junior beats Kenseth.
Yeah.
So Junior will get 4th off the pit lane. Under caution in the Hershey's Kisses 300 for the 3rd time. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. TNT's coverage of the Hershey's Kisses 300 is brought to you by Nextel, coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. By the new 4 for All Pizza. Everyone gets the toppings they want, and it's only at Pizza Hut. And by the new Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash. Never dry your car again. Wrapping up caution number 3 in the Hershey's Kisses 300 after some oil or fluid from Stacey Compton's car brought out the yellow flag. They continue to work on repairing the 59 on the pit lane. Here's our Aaron's pit summary.
Harvick lost a spot. Kenseth lost 2, and Biffle stayed the same. Junior gained about 5 or 6 spots on this pit stop. He will be in 4th spot.
And Robbie Gordon moving up to the lead.
So this will be interesting.
So we go back racing with 43 laps to go. Everybody's good to the finish on fuel and tires. By the way, extensive repairs on Michael Waltrip's car, but he is on the lead lap. He's going to restart in 25th place.
How long will it take before 21 jumps out, BP?
About the backstretch. With a big push from Biffle and Kenseth.
That second group's kind of laying back there a little bit. Watch them to get up behind Earnhardt Jr. and make a big charge in a lap or so.
They're going to try it down the back now. Whether or not it's going to be successful or not, I don't know.
Here they come. Robbie Gordon leads. Kevin Harvick second. Greg Biffle third. Matt Kenseth 4th. And here comes the charge of that second group led by Dale Earnhardt Jr. up to the outside lane.
You know, Harvick just pushed the 55 car, and they about drove away from Biffle and Kenseth.
I would say they did drive away.
Now here's what I can't figure. All those guys in that second group behind Junior had to know he was going to the front, and when he went up to the outside lane, they didn't go with him. They all scattered back down to the inside line. Now they're all in a big pack.
And that outside line still is not being very successful today. This is on board to Greg Biffle.
sidelines starting to move a little bit.
Jason Keller in 22, haven't called his number so far this race. Championship contender has moved up from 30th starting spot. Last lap by, he was in 8th place. New number, new colors for Jason Keller this year. Meantime, Michael Waltrip, we told you about the lengthy pit stops he made. Marty, how about an update?
It took 2 stops to fix the right rear fender on Michael Waltrip's car. The damage is fixed now, not rubbing on the right rear any longer. But check out the tire that came off the car. I don't think that tire would have lasted much longer. The wearing of down to the cords all the way around the tire. Problem for Michael now is, though, he has no drafting partners out there.
Yeah, he was wise to back off when he did and just ease around there until the caution flag came out.
He's had enough excitement for one weekend, right?
And I think if these guys keep doing like this, there's going to be another caution flag.
I think you're right.
Because all they're doing right now is trying to find the best place to wreck.
Talking about Jason Keller, Matt.
And BP, that's exactly why Jason Keller was riding in the back. Earlier in the race, he'd made a pack with both Michael Waltrip and the 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr. just to hang in the back to try to stay out of the way. The car very good today. The only problem, it was actually running too cool. Dave?
Matt, the 00 of Jason Leffler has a problem. It is inexperience, and crew chief Woody Barker told me earlier in the week, the problem is that we're going to get no one to go with us. So I just checked in with him now that he's had these laps in this race. I said, Booty, I said, is anybody going to go with you now? And he said, nah. Marty?
Dave, earlier, Benny talked about Kevin Harvick trying to make his move as soon as he could. And I talked to Kevin before the race. He said, listen, I'm going to try to be up front and leading this thing as much as possible today. I was so frustrated yesterday by riding in that second pack. I want to lead today, Matt.
The problem for Robbie Gordon really isn't who is in his mirror, it's his race car. He was telling his team before that last pit stop, my car is pushing, and then also it's way too loose. I really want to make changes, but I'm afraid if I make a change, it'll make one or the other worse. So they're just going to leave it alone. He's just riding right now with a loose and tight race car, Dave.
Matt, we continue to see Greg Biffle in the 60 car run that bottom line. He radioed in, I can only run on the bottom. I'm going to have to live or die down there. And if they want to go around me on the outside, well, then I'll just have to live with that. Marty?
Dave, last time Matt Kenseth was a little bit tight on that last run. They made several small changes up on the track bar. Half pound out of the right front tire, 1 pound out of both left side tires. He said, I have to be able to use both lanes if we want to win this race. Bill?
Last caution, a big break for Bobby Hamilton Jr. He had lost the draft. Now he's right back in the middle of it. Car was just a tick free, but his crew chief Harold Holly says we've got something for him last half of this race.
Ooh, Greg Biffle popping out of line, trying to get the fender on Robbie Gordon for the race lead. Gordon tried to shut the door. That was close.
That was extremely close, but poor Robbie is now in the middle, and we talk about high-low. Middle is definitely not where you want to be.
No, Robbie's going to have to get back off the throttle and get back in line somewhere because, yep, you do not want to be in the middle. That's what he did. Dropping back, looking for a hole.
And Biffle was not able to maintain the lead. Kevin Harvick and Jr. went by him on the outside along with Jason Leffler.
18 cars in this lead draft, 37 to go when they hit the start-finish line.
And I was talking to Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Michael and Jason Keller before the race about that, but I didn't listen, obviously, because I'm up to go with you guys. Talking about dropping back and getting out of the front pack. I mean, you know, the wreck can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. I mean,
yeah, but now it's go time. I mean, now you're 37 laps to go. You have to go. You have to get up in the middle of it and see what happens. There's a lot of experience in this lead group, but there's a lot of inexperience as well. And with the cars under this rules package, all it takes is one driver to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah. All he's got to do is move up and touch somebody, and we've got another 12 cars involved in the crash.
There's no question this makes for extremely entertaining racing. The way the cars can draft, the way they pass, it's a lot of fun to watch. But for the drivers, it's very nerve-wracking because you are in that tight pack all day.
Yeah, and the driver's a lot busier with this package because not only you're trying to watch your mirror and protect your position, but you're all over the racetrack because the cars aren't handling as well as they used to because of the package that we have right now. So, yeah, it's pretty wild out there.
Oh, Biffle, here he goes. Junior for the lead. That's almost identical to the same spot he passed Tony Stewart yesterday for the lead in the Daytona 500.
That's
Who's had him inside? Johnny Sauter.
Trying to get down the inside lever and does it.
Brave move there. And now dropping down 3 wide. Greg Biffle with a charge on Sauter. 3 deep at the start-finish line for third.
Oh, yikes.
Now they got Sauter where he does not want to be.
Bill.
Alan, during that pit stop, I talked about the frustration of Johnny Sauter. He told his crew, I just can't get anybody to run with me, no matter what I do. It's very frustrating, he said. No friend.
You know what, Bill? That is so true, because you have to have somebody that will stick with you. You know, the few laps I ran, I had Joe Nemechek on my bumper. No matter where I went, he went with me, and we went to the front. But it's hard to get somebody that'll do that, because they may work with you for a lap or two, and then they'll find a hole and just drop you. So it is very frustrating as a driver if you can't get somebody that will stay with you.
Ever see Bobby Hamilton Jr. in that 25 car, the red car on the bottom?
Whoa, hang on.
Remy up there.
Stremme almost, if he didn't get in the wall, he missed an awfully good chance.
Kyle Busch, Robbie Gordon, David Stremme.
Robbie picked up a spot there.
They were bouncing off each other coming off that tri-oval turn. Intense racing.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, Matt Kenseth.
Man.
Hamilton Jr. flirting with the yellow out-of-bounds line. He got out of the gas, though, and got back in behind Kenseth.
4 wide.
Hang on, boys.
Like I said, that was almost a good spot to wreck right there.
Leffler gets down in line in front of Kenny Wallace. Back to 2 wide. Bobby Hamilton Jr. the run underneath Johnny Sauter for 5th place. But Ron Hornaday goes with his Richard Childress Racing teammate, Sauter, to the outside. Here's Harvick, bid for the lead. Nobody going with him. Harvick outside, Dale Earnhardt Jr. inside.
And Biffle and Kenseth's going to try to go with Jr.
Dave Burns.
Guys, Biffle radioed in, I'll go apologize to Harvick, but I just can't draft up there in the high line.
Okay. I'm sure Harvick will be happy to hear that.
Yeah. That's not going to matter much.
Yeah. Matt Kenseth, big run up to Biffle's back bumper. See if they can make a charge up on Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's out by a couple of car lengths. A lot of warnings being run from the control tower down to pit road now. Johnny Sauter warned for blocking a minute ago. Race director David Hoots just talking about Greg Biffle, telling him to pick a lane and stay in it. And Robbie Gordon with a charge to the outside. Now Kevin Harvick behind him.
Those 2 cars are very, very fast.
They get hooked up together and they just go.
Harvick back in front.
So new leader Robbie Gordon drops down in front of Dale Jr. Now splits the difference between the inside and outside lanes. Matt.
Many times the spotters can actually see a lot more than what the drivers actually think they're seeing. Robbie Gordon 3 laps ago, he wanted to run the middle because he was surrounded by a lot of inexperience. His spotter said, no, stay on the outside. We'll take our time. That's exactly what happened. He manipulated that outside lane and got all the way to the point.
Wasn't he leading going by the start-finish line? Well, where did Junior come from? He just blew right by him.
Robbie Gordon went up to that high lane, and Junior led the inside charge.
I think Robbie, what he's trying to do is pull Harvick along so they can both get down to the bottom. But Harvick just can't quite clear Biffle's car to get down there. Robbie's trying to stay with Harvick. Uh-oh.
Don't do that, and now Harvick is up to Gordon's outside.
With help from Johnny Sauter.
This is tense.
Yeah, it is tense, and it's tense inside those cars right now. Like I said, these cars are moving all over the place right now. The air's doing weird things, the tires don't have traction, and you got everybody making some crazy moves. So
they're averaging a little better than 182 miles an hour around the racetrack now in this tight bunch. 3 wide, a little farther back, up front, double wide. Earnhardt Jr. poking out in front. There's the 3 deep. Hamilton Jr. 25, Kenseth 17, Stremme 32.
And how Matt got in that hole is, I guess Stremme just eased off the throttle and let him in.
That was a gift.
He got in that hole due to courtesy, yeah.
Oh!
Ooh, contact, Hamilton Jr. and Greg Biffle. And they sort it out. That's about the 4th wreck that just hasn't crashed in the last 10 laps.
There's 29 to go. This isn't the last lap.
Boy, oh boy.
It looks like if the 21 and 55, Kevin Harvick in 21, Robbie Gordon 55, can somehow get together.
I think they need to get on the bottom, BP. I think the 21 needs to get either in front or behind the 55 on the bottom. But they just can't do it. Too many cars. Because they would like nothing more to be able to pull away from this pack.
All right, one more commercial break before the challenge. Oh, wait, trouble. Robbie Gordon gets bumped. And another wreck that just didn't happen.
What a save by Robbie Gordon.
Now Biffle is in the middle. He was running about 4th. He's going to be running about 15th when he come back around the next time. Oh, man.
And that was a save.
Yeah, glove save and a beauty for Robbie Gordon. Coming off that turn at the start-finish line. Watch the 55 car.
Goes down. Oh, man, he just got turned down.
Was that Biffle behind him?
Yes.
That they made contact? Save of the day so far for Robbie Gordon. Got one more commercial break. If we stay under green between now and the checkered flag, we'll take it now, then take you to the finish at Daytona.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The NBA on TNT, Thursday, 7 Eastern. The Kings take on the Timberwolves and the 76ers and Sonics. Coverage begins with TNT NBA tip-off presented by Gatorade. TNT NBA Thursday. Let the truth be told.
Well, we got him single file for a while there, BP.
Yeah, but back in the back, they're still dicing and trying to figure out who's what.
24 laps to go. Earnhardt Jr. is the leader. Kevin Harvick second. Johnny Sauter third. Matt Kenseth fourth. David Stremme fifth. Kyle Busch up to sixth in the 5 car, Matt.
One reason for Kyle Busch's aggressive move to find that clean air, the water temperature has climbed to 270. He's turned on a fan. That hasn't helped. They're just crossing their fingers, hoping it'll hold the distance.
19 cars in this lead draft.
The problem is when you do that is when you're following somebody, you're going to follow that car. And then if you have 7 or 8 guys following somebody that's weaving in and out, the whole line weaves in and out.
Here we go, battle for these second position.
Johnny Sauter on the move.
Has some help with Kenseth, Stremme.
Yeah, a lot of help.
Man, they just keep running into each other. Back second, third through fifth.
Well, there isn't a straight rear bumper on any of these cars. They're all caved in.
Yeah, I think at this point, the real story is we've seen all this shuffling around going on behind the 8 car. And we've seen some guys try to take the lead
What's
from
all
the 8.
that fluid? Sorry, Alan, but there's a lot of fluid coming off of somebody's car right now.
Might be the 5 car
was overheating.
Yeah.
Did we just hear Matt report that on pit road?
Well,
yeah, he's got to
run out of water soon.
Exactly, because that's a tremendous amount of water hitting our camera lens.
How about Greg Biffle, Dave?
Just shouting over his radio, the 5 is oiling me down, the 5 is oiling me down. Of course, we believe that it's water based on Matt's report, but Greg, of course, any fluid coming back is just making him mad.
Greg Biffle, 7th last time by the start-finish line.
This is not a good line here. Dave?
BP, and he goes up to the middle there. Remember he said he'd only run the bottom? Well, unless someone sprayed his windshield to death.
Yeah, and that's what he's doing, Dave. He is covering that windshield. And he's trying to get around, but not having much luck at it right now. Yeah, we can clean the camera for everybody at home, but he can't do that with the windshield.
I was starting to say before when we saw that fluid coming out was that we've seen these guys try Junior several times, but nobody's been able to get in front of him and stay in front of him in this last little while. So some of these guys are going to have to get organized here, because right now they're racing for second.
No, you're right. And I think the two fastest cars when they're together are Harvick and Robbie Gordon. Those two guys got to get together. They got to make good pit stops, come out together, and work together.
But right now, Robbie Gordon is in 10th, and Kevin Harvick is in 4th.
Both David Stremme and Kyle Busch loose off that corner. The 5-car Busch tapping the wall, as you saw from the onboard view. Never lifted his foot off the gas, and he stays in 7th place.
Uh-oh, we got
he's going to blow up. He's
right
running
rear.
out of water.
No, that's where
the fender.
Right rear, yeah.
Matty?
Kyle Busch says the temperature now up to 290. The air not helping. He says, you know, it feels like there's fluid on the racetrack. Everybody's slipping and sliding.
I wonder where that came from.
I wonder.
Yeah, he's going to give it up.
Tough break for the kid. He did a great job.
Watch this as the 5-car touches the wall off turn 4.
That may have been because of the fluid. Yeah.
That's a pretty good hit.
Yeah.
So Kyle Busch's bid for a good finish in his Daytona NASCAR Busch Series debut will come up short by 19 laps. That's a lap car to the inside the leaders are overtaking. A couple of them, Mike Bliss in the 20 and Rick Markle in the 68. Harvick, Leffler, Stremme, Johnny Sauter. Now the lineup behind Dale Jr. as Kyle Busch comes to pit road, Matt.
And you can just see the window is fogging up on the front windshield. The whole cockpit is just filled with smoke. They were talking about, after they changed the tires, putting some water into it. Yep, they're going to pull the hood pins. They're going to put some water into it. A great run by Kyle Busch, spoiled by overheating.
And the reason they won't just give it up is this is a team that's planning on contending for the championship, so if they can get him out and get a finish, they'll try to.
All right, BP, they're going to try to make a run at him now.
Kevin Harvick, he's on the high side, and we know Jason Leffler in the 00 loves it up there, but do they have enough steam hooked up together to beat Junior? The 3 wide behind Junior, they might now.
Johnny Sauter goes low, putting David Stremme in the middle. And see, that just takes all of Harvick's drafting help away.
I'm surprised Sauter didn't jump up there and help Harvick.
Marty?
Alan, if you'll remember our pre-race show on Saturday, Kevin Harvick said the place you want to be late in the race is not in the lead. It's too easy to pass with this package. Where you want to be is second or third. If you'll follow Kevin's progress, he's dropped back to like 8th or so a couple of times, worked his way back up to second, and found which groove works best for him. Matt?
And Kyle Busch has shut the car off. He is climbing from the race car. They were putting water in it, and they could see the water was leaking from the back. Kyle, I know, very disappointing finish for you.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these guys worked their hearts out. We had a great car. The low shopback Chevrolet was awesome today. I mean, we're running up front with all the rest of the guys and getting dumped by all the masters and getting treated like a rookie. So this proves to show that these guys don't give up, and neither do I.
And you know why he was getting dumped like he was a rookie?
Because he's a rookie.
Exactly. You got it in one, Wally.
17.
You just have to expect that when you come to these places. That you have to earn the respect from these drivers. You have to earn the right for them to draft with you. And I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. That's just something that's going to take some time.
16 laps to go. Johnny Sauter now second, Bill.
And showing tremendous patience, and Wally, maybe he is earning some of that respect. Went with Junior because Newt Moore said that's the car you got to go with in this race. The only thing is they want to get by him. But remember, he had no friends before, but he's going to have a few friends here before it's over with.
He's going to need a few friends.
Now, right now, Robbie Gordon and Kevin Harvick only have Greg Biffle's car between them. If Harvick can somehow get to the outside and those two cars get hooked up, they might be able to do something. I agree with you. Those two cars look fast.
If you missed any of the Daytona 500, late night tonight here on TNT. Encore presentation of the 46th running of the Great American Race. 26 lead changes. late race pass for the win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting by Tony Stewart as two of NASCAR's biggest stars fought it out for the victory and the sport's biggest trophy.
All right, BP, now we got them lined up.
Yep.
Now, if Harvick and Robbie will just work together, they got a shot.
I bet the under. I don't think they will. Well, just don't.
Past history shows.
Yeah, well, not because of that. I just think that it's going to be very hard for them to work their way up through these other guys without these other guys' own plans interfering with them just working together. You got Johnny Sauter, you got Matt Kenseth, you got David Stremme.
You would think Johnny would work with those guys. I mean, they are teammates on the Cup side.
Here we go. Harvick to the outside with Robbie Gordon.
I think what works to Dale Jr.'s biggest advantage here is that they've separated themselves, those front 6 cars, from the rest of that group. That's fewer he has to deal with.
And if I was Bobby Jr., I'd be making a move right now, because you know Robbie and Harvick will probably go with you if you start showing any forward movement, because they want to get to the front of this deal. I guess that's David Stremme.
Yeah, that was Stremme there. Talked about this earlier. Drivers who've swept the NASCAR Busch Series and Nextel Cup Series races at Daytona.
There goes that Matt looking for a spot.
Sauter to the outside, cut out of the herd.
Boy, they used up Sauter, didn't they? Made a move like to going on the outside. He went up to go with Kenseth, and Kenseth dove back to the bottom with Junior.
Now you got Harvick up on top, and you got Robbie Gordon. Okay, now Robbie gets in line.
Look at this. They all line up in that outside lane. They know they've got to get rid of Earnhardt Jr. to race it out from among themselves for the win.
That's exactly. Oh, and Harvick goes up on the outside of Robbie.
See?
But that could work in Robbie Gordon's favor, because now he's going to try to pull up that side behind Earnhardt. That's Earnhardt in the blue and white, number 8. Robbie Gordon behind him.
Whoa, David Stremme just pushing Johnny Sauter. Stremme in the red car, the 32, a Daytona rookie. Marty.
David Stremme may be a rookie behind the wheel, but in the spotter stand, he's got a lot of experience. Lauren Ranier, who's one of the best spotters in this business, coaching him, telling him, hey, you've got a great car. Let's be patient. It's still not time to go.
David's doing a good, really good job. I followed him a little bit when we started this race, and he's very smooth, and he's a guy you can trust out there. Now, the only problem is, BP, he's got that yellow sticker on the bumper, so some of these guys may just want to get around him.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, BP.
Robbie Gordon was not able to pull up on the back bumper of Earnhardt. Johnny Sauter has gotten between him.
You see, so far, every time somebody mounts a charge, the pack scatters and they don't end up finishing the charge on the leader. And so Earnhardt Jr. has been out in front of this race since lap since about lap 90.
And Matt Kenseth, who was running second and third just a few laps ago, has fallen back to 6th or 7th.
Harvick back to the high side.
Yep, trying to get 4th away from Stremme.
Got Jason up there still. Jason Leftwood right behind him.
And that little bit of side-by-side racing among the leaders allowed the second pack to close in again. If some of those guys in that second pack would get in line and just make a run at it, but we've seen so far today, that's just they're not inclined to do that.
See Robbie jump up now, get in front of the 21 car. Figured he couldn't do that.
And then back down. Whoa, look out, Robbie Gordon. Did he and Stremme make contact?
Must have for him to dive down like that.
Look at the back bumper on the 55 car. Just caved in. And again, while all this is going on side by side, the front two out there single file.
These guys, you're right, they've got to come up with a plan and stick with it here.
9 laps to go.
And Junior, they have slowed down. The last lap was just a little over 180 miles per hour.
Who's that up the center? Harvick.
He goes by Stremme. Now Kenseth has slowly worked his way back up to about 5th. That's he in the yellow car.
David Green right behind him in 37. Now there are a whole pack of lap cars in front of this group that are being closed on very quickly. 6, 7 of them.
Oh my goodness.
And that's going to be a factor in these final few laps. There you see the group of lap cars leaving the picture, and here come the leaders.
I don't know if those guys are not really racing each other's.
Yeah, some of them are actually tail end of the lead lap, Wally. Michael Waltrip's at the head of that second draft in 19th place.
Okay.
NASCAR race control radioing the team sponsors to get out of the way on the back straightaway and try and let the leaders by. Did I say sponsors? I meant spotters.
Yeah, but I knew what you meant.
Thank you. It's only excitement.
Hornaday, the 2 car, trying to work his way through, but you're right, this traffic is going to be a problem.
If anything, it's going to bunch him up even more.
7 laps to go. The leaders catch the traffic.
Junior might be able to get by the single file guys, but once we get back to 2 wide, David Green is 2 wide there. If we get 3 wide, it could be a problem.
Ooh, boy. David Green had to squeeze in line behind Jason Leffler. And the other thing this is doing, having to take a few laps to get around this pack of cars. It's all the fewer laps some of these guys have to make a run at Earnhardt Jr. and try and take the win.
Yes, certainly working in Dale Jr.'s favor right now.
Strimmy, that yellow car on the inside, trying to use some of these lap cars, and there we see Harvick trying to make a move for 3rd spot.
Working between the Michael Waltrip car that's just gone a lap down and Robbie Gordon's 55.
Robbie's not giving him any room there.
Oh boy, contact there.
Looks like Robbie Gordon just decided to come down, and unfortunately Harvick was there.
Ooh, Jason Leffler way up against the wall.
On board with Kevin Harvick as he looks back at Strimmy. Greg Biffle.
Easy, boys.
You got to run out of some room eventually. Man, oh man.
Strimmy trying to clear the lap car of Derek Cope in the 49.
And Hornaday is trying to squeeze in behind Cope.
In the meantime, all of this drama back in the traffic, the front 2 have put some distance between the rest of this pack. Earnhardt Jr. and Johnny Sauter have gotten away, at least for the moment, Bill.
The advice to Johnny Sauter, just stay behind the 8, then it's yours on the last lap. Do what you have to do.
I don't think there's anything he'll be able to do unless he gets somebody up there to help push him by. And they're going to have to hurry.
There are 4 laps to go in the Hershey's Kisses 300 at Daytona International Speedway. The Monday matinee after this race postponed by rain from Saturday. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car is the race leader. He's been the dominant leader of this race. He's trying to back up his big victory in the Daytona 500 yesterday with a sweep of Speedweek's 2004's 2 biggest events.
All right, Robbie and Harvick can get a run. They got a lot of help behind them right now. They got to time it just right.
They're running 3rd and 4th. Kevin Harvick, Robbie Gordon. David Strimmy is in 5th.
18 cars on the lead lap, most all of them, 17 of them in this pack, along with a few lap cars. Can they gang up on Dale Earnhardt Jr. and take the lead and the checkered flag from his grasp? 3 laps to go.
Here we go. There it is. Oh!
Johnny Sauter, the 2 car, the car in 2nd spot, moved down to block that move of Kevin Harvick.
Matt Kenseth up in the outside lane. Nobody goes with him. Yellow car. Now they give him some help. Earnhardt Jr., little snake move down the backstretch to try and break the draft. Ooh, a bump there on Kenseth, and he regains control. Ron Hornaday in the 2 nipped him in the back bumper and turned him sideways for the second. And that separated those front 4 from that second group.
Robbie, when he makes his move, he's got to make it with enough momentum that he gets beside at least a bumper on Johnny Sauter and able to, for him to pull it off, he's got to get beside him.
2 laps to go.
Sauter's looking in that mirror every other second.
And a crash now and the race is over. They're past the point at which NASCAR will use the red flag in order to try and have a green flag finish.
On board with Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he looks back at Johnny Sauter.
I don't think they've got enough, Benny.
Earnhardt Jr., Johnny Sauter, Robbie Gordon, Kevin Harvick, the front 4. Second group led by Matt Kenseth. As they come to the white flag. Final lap of Speed Week's 2004 Daytona. Can anyone draft by the 8 car and pick up the win, or will it be Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the sweep? Richard Childress Racing associated drivers lined up behind Earnhardt Jr., but no one's been able to pass him for the last 30 laps.
And they just can't get close enough. The 27 can't close up on the rear bumper to make a run. It's not that he doesn't want to, he just can't.
Final turn. Final chance, and it's not going to be enough. After a big day and a win in the Daytona 500 yesterday, Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the Hershey's Kisses 300. His 3rd consecutive NASCAR Busch Series win here at Daytona International Speedway. His 3rd win of Speed Week's 2004.
What did we say? His father won 5 of these in a row?
5 straight, yeah.
And he wants to. He said that he would like to tie that record. Yeah. Hard to do.
Yes, it is. Very hard. But he's gotten a good start on it. Johnny Sauter was 2nd, Robbie Gordon 3rd, Kevin Harvick 4th, Matt Kenseth with a little congratulatory donut finished 5th. Followed by David Stremme, Ron Hornaday, Jason Leffler, Jason Keller, and David Green got the final top 10 spots. Been a big couple days for Tony Eury Sr., Marty.
Well, I hope you're not tired of winning, and who needs sleep anyway, right?
Well, we just hold fillers today. Bono and his guys, Chance 2 guys, they put this car together, they built this car, put it together, brought it down here. They worked on it for the whole week, and we just come down here to fill its pit stalls, all we did. So all the guys in the fab shop that built the 4 cars that they brought down here, and they all 4 ran good. They had a hard time picking out which ones they wanted to run, and they all did a good job. Richie Gilmore and that engine department just keep on ticking, and that's just how that DEI operation is working right now. We're proud of everybody there.
What a great weekend for DEI and Chance 2 Motorsports. Dale Jr. start-finish line again today. Looks very familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little different scene than yesterday, though.
You're the rev limiter. He's got laid against a rev limiter about.
I'd take care of that engine. That's a good one.
About 7,500 rev limiter. And now he's got the nose up against the bank. It won't go anyplace, so he's burning the rear tires off.
I think that was kind of the idea. A standing smoker. And he's probably going to come out of the car here and salute the fans. That's the half of a $1,500 set of Goodyears laying there. Well, I'm sure that no matter how late Junior was out last night celebrating his 500 win, he's feeling no after effects now.
No, he sure isn't.
$102,000 winner's share of the $2 million purse for the Hershey's Kisses 300. This one Speed Weeks that Dale Earnhardt Jr. will never forget. Kevin Harvick and Robbie Gordon sharing a moment or two about the race. Finished 3rd and 4th. About that, what they were trying to do, trying to accomplish, and how it did or didn't work.
Looks like they were having some fun, though.
Yeah.
I can't believe it started. He's stuck. It's stuck. It will not roll in the mud. Okay.
Grass still pretty wet from the rain we had Saturday. There it goes. So while we wait for Earnhardt Jr. to get back around to victory lane, let's hear from some of the other top finishers. Bill?
And down here on pit road with Kevin Harvick, just had a few words with Robbie Gordon. How was your race?
It was fun. I was just telling Robbie and Johnny, it was, you know, that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be side by side, beating and banging and having a good time. So that was a lot of fun, and we were all having fun. And you get such a run on people, it's hard to work with people unless you're single file. So it was a good time. Good day for the Hershey Kisses Chevrolet.
There was some beating and banging going on out there.
Yeah, there was, but you know, all of us know that that's part of it, and sometimes you're on the leading stick of it, and sometimes you're on the end of the stick. So it's like I say, you know, Johnny and Robbie and all the guys did a good job, and the Hershey Kisses Chevrolet was just a lot of fun to drive today. Just knocked the fender in there at the end, and I couldn't keep up with them, or might have been able to make a run, but good job for us.
Because even the three of you couldn't catch the 8.
Imagine that.
Kevin Harvick with a 5th place finish, a 4th place finish today. Marty?
Robbie Gordon in 3rd, and looks like you and your teammate were trying so hard there, your Cup teammate, to catch that 8 car, but imagine that, as Kevin said, you couldn't catch him.
Yeah, I guess we got together one time on the back straightaway, and it just, I guess it knocked the nose in on his car, and he couldn't hang with us after that point. But I tried backing up there about 2 laps to go and see if I can get a run on Johnny, and I had a good run on him, but the only way I can get by is if I turned him. Oh, well.
It was a good decision not to turn him. So nice first ever Busch Series start for Robbie Gordon. Finishes 3rd here at Daytona. Matt?
Here in the Hershey's Kisses victory lane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the 3rd straight Busch Series win here at Daytona. In the February race, and the shower commences. Spikes the kiss. Wow, what a day. Did you work harder here today than yesterday?
Oh, well, it might look like it. I just kind of stayed up front, and when I got somebody on the outside of me, there was always somebody to help me. Johnny helped me a lot there at the end. You know, just I didn't know whether I was going to win it or not. I mean, it's this package everybody can pass so easily, so it's just any man's race, really.
Now, you told me at the beginning of the race that you didn't want to jinx yourself. Now, you've got 3 straight in this event, 2 more to tie your dad.
Yeah, 3's a lot. We're going to go for 5, and shoot, go for 6, 7, 8, whatever happens, man, happens. But we keep on racking up wins. That's 43 for the Earnhardt here at Daytona, so I'm real happy.
Certainly a great day, great weekend for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, sure was.
He had a strong car today. I mean, he really, and he put it where he needed it, right on the bottom, too.
So what do we talk about? He has won now 9 races here in Daytona, and his father won 34 total?
34.
Wow, 43 times. That's unbelievable.
It's a good start on it, though, huh? I'm telling you. Bill?
With Johnny Sauter, so were you frustrated or satisfied when it was over? I heard you talking during the race.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just so proud of this Kleenex Winn-Dixie Pontiac guy and this whole team. I mean, they did an awesome job. I screwed up on Saturday, come from the back to 3rd, and on pit road, hit my tire carrier, and put us back in the back, and they did a great job of fixing it. And I knew this thing was really strong after Saturday, and I hate it that Dale Jr. won again. I mean, I'm happy for him, but I hate it. And
you couldn't do anything with him, Johnny?
I couldn't. I really felt like Kevin Harvick had the best car today, but you know, I kind of hung him out there, and you don't want to give up the bottom here, especially when you're behind the 8 car. And all in all, it's a good way to start off the season. Newtmore, all these guys did a great job. It just, you know, it's good. I want to thank Chevrolet. Goodyear tires were awesome today, and looking forward to Rockingham.
Marty, go ahead.
Well, Alan, it was a lot harder, I think, out there for Matt Kenseth than it looked like. You just didn't seem like you could get anyone to draft with you. How was that, Matt?
I just couldn't. I don't mean I had people drafting me. I just couldn't get myself in the right position. So when I tried to make a move on somebody, then the whole line would come on the other line. So if I was on the bottom, they'd go to the top. And I just could never get it to work right. So I needed to get my teammate Greg back up in there to help me a little bit. But it was a good day for our Bayer Aspirin car. These guys worked really hard on this car back in the paint shop and in Fab Shop to get this thing ready. They're really behind over there, and they did a lot of hard work to get it ready. So we had a good effort today.
Junior only had one drafting partner in Johnny Sauter, and there was a whole train of you guys catching them. Were you surprised that you couldn't get around them?
It's hard to pass the leader. When a 21 was in front before, it was hard to pass him. I followed him for a long time. And actually, when Johnny made a move to go with the outside of Dale Jr. for the lead, I went with Dale Jr., but then everybody else stacked up on the outside again. And Jr. somehow has such a strong car, he can stay up there by himself. And I couldn't hang in there, and I fell back and had to work my way back up in there again.
Matt keeps his Busch Series Daytona streak alive. He's never finished worse than 6th here, Alan.
And we check the finishing order for today's Hershey's Kisses 300. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the Daytona double picks up the victory today after his 500 win yesterday. Johnny Sauter, 3rd consecutive top 10 finish at Daytona. Kevin Harvick, 4th top 5 in 4 races here.
And David Stremme, 6th place finish for a bestest rookie challenger.
Last on the lead lap was Gus Wasson in 18th place. Michael Waltrip led that group of cars that were put a lap down by the leader in those final circuits around. Of course, Kyle Busch fell out of the race late with the engine troubles. Gets a 24th place result on his Daytona Busch Series debut.
And Mark Truex Jr. back in the 28th position. A team car to the 8th. Was involved in a crash, could not continue.
And now a lot of the drivers involved in the 2 big crashes in the race. The one today and then the one on Saturday. Joe Nemechek in the one Saturday, along with Wally, Casey Kane, Johnny Benson. So Speed Weeks 2004 is over at the Daytona International Speedway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a double victory celebration. More to come from the World Center of Racing after this.
And the victory lane celebration at Daytona continues. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and company back there for a 2nd straight day. And now NASCAR heads to Rockingham for the 2nd stop of the season. Back on pit road with David Stremme. School in session today for you.
Oh yeah, it definitely was all day. We talked to everybody and they said, no, we're not going to gas. So we come on and gas her right away, and Robert Presley come in, hit our fender, made the car really tight. But you know, everybody did a great job on Trim Spot Dodge. Them Cup guys were getting a little wild up there, pushing me, trying to use me up, and I wasn't giving up at all. And I learned a lot. So when we go to Talladega, you know, maybe I earned some respect from some of them guys. But